Elm Logistics for all your logistic needs. Call 631-299-3595. That's 631-299-3595. Elm Global Logistics. Pride, performance, and partnerships.
Tired of that same old breakfast, lunch, and dinner? Same old tasting scrambled eggs, burger, that dinner steak, ribs, or pork chops? Why not add a little bit of spice or just a touch of heat to make the difference? Change that scrambled egg with a little bit of Johnny Fabulous's John Cena Sr.'s $1 Million Jalapeno Hot Sauce. Great on burgers, steaks, chops, and those barbecued ribs.
Jimmy, I gotta take a dump. What? No, I mean I need a dumpster.
Well, for all those needs, you need to call Big V Dumpster Rental, Long Island, New York, 631-900-DUMP.
Wasn't my fault, I just couldn't win. The things that I said, they hurt you again. And if you don't let me down easy, always on the run, with the backs up against it all. No need to lose your mind, so just let it pass on. It wasn't my fault, I just couldn't win. The things that I said, they hurt you again. And if you don't let me down easy,
Good evening and welcome to Wrestling Rewind. I'm your host, Angel Amoroso, and I am joined by my co-host, the Iron Man, Tommy Cairo.
Hey.
And this evening, we are joined by our special guest, Miss Heidi Lee Morgan.
Yay!
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
A legend in professional wrestling. And for those of you who don't know, Miss Heidi Lee Morgan is about to receive a Lifetime Achievement Award. And no one in this business deserves it more than you do. I have to say, first off, that you were a huge inspiration to me in wrestling. And out of the hundreds and thousands of women who have come after you, I couldn't see me sitting here wanting to have an interview and know someone's story more than I want to know yours. And I want everyone else to know about your story. So I just want you to start right off. Like,
I want to know more than I know.
Yes, I want to know everything. How did you get interested in wrestling? Who were you trained by? And who did you work for? Your championships? Who were you around? I can't wait to just hear everything.
So do we have 10 hours or 24?
Yeah. Listen, we'll do this in 3 parts.
I'll try to be light-winded.
Any story worth telling is worth telling the whole thing. I just got to say, always a big fan, admirer, secretly at first, and then verbally many times. I tried to make her my girlfriend. She let me know. Imagine me, a young guy. Here's this cute little dynamite package, and her father's in the business, and they got a ring, and she's cute, and she works out. But she let me know very nicely. Sorry, but I don't date anybody in the business. Good for you. I now get
You're being very kind because I wasn't nice. I'm like, excuse me.
Really? I don't remember that. So
you are such a gentleman and always have been.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Again, we're super happy. I'm glad you're the first one, and you will be the first interview we air.
Well,
set the tone. Then we got trouble after that. We got to keep it hot.
So then it's stepping up the notch.
Yes.
So I'm very honored. I'm very, very honored.
Right into it. I can't wait to hear everything.
All right. So, for those of you that might not know about my background, my name is Heidi Lee Morgan. I am de Bartolome's, but in the wrestling industry, I was known as Heidi Lee Morgan, the flamboyant Heidi Lee Morgan from Atlantic City, New Jersey. But the truth behind that was I wasn't from Atlantic City, New Jersey. I was actually from the country. I'm a country bumpkin, Elmer, New Jersey. I don't live there anymore. I'm a South Jersey girl. We'll just keep it at that because I do like my privacy. But I am rooted in the town I'm in and have been for over 28 years now. But still a Jersey girl. I do have a little bit of slang. I was born in 1966. So for those of you that have seen my thing on Wikipedia, Wikipedia's wrong. I sent 10 letters to them. I was not born in 1967. I was born in 1966. So that being said, it's going to go back to, we have to rewind because before it happened for me, my dad was passionate about wrestling, and his name was, he was the first little Abner. He was the crazy boy pirate Morgan. He was also Tully McTavish. And as a little girl, we have some pictures that I had sent you guys that we had a petting zoo. And I mean, you even have some pictures of me as a toddler with my sister and my brother. And I also sent you guys pictures of my dad, where he was in the tights and he was in a bodybuilding tight, because that's where I get my lifting from, is from my father. And the food program was from my mother. She was my hero as far as that was concerned. But I was born in 1966 and my folks had a zoo. But my dad was also very, very much in love with wrestling. He met Buddy Rogers as a kid, and keeping my dad off the street. My dad used to go to the Catholic Church where they would spar and roll with the boxing and with the wrestling, and men's men came out of that. And again, Buddy Rogers was the influence there. Fast forward, my dad worked with Monsoon and became very good friends with Robert Morelli. And as kids, we grew up weekend warriors, where my dad would set up the ring. And this was when it was Capital Wrestling. Do you guys remember when it was Capital?
Yes.
I don't know how old. I know Tom's my age. No, Tom's a little older.
I was
when
born
he
in
told me he was
58.
older, it just like blew me away.
Mhm.
But Angel, I don't know how much younger than I am. But back in the day, before it was WWF, now aka WWE, it was Capital Wrestling. Wrestling back in that time had territories. So you had Walter Kowalski that was up in New England. You had Dominic DeNucci out in Pittsburgh. You had McMahon in the Central Jersey area, Connecticut, going north, New York. And then you get to the Crockett's, the more south you went. And then you had your Texas crew out there. So every area had a territory, and the wrestlers would work different territories. And they would work with the promotions. And then what happened was, so my dad worked with Capital, which was Vince McMahon Sr. Vince McMahon Jr. Was in college at the time, and at the time he was also just doing commentating and emceeing for his father's show. So we grew up with Chief Jay Strongbow's kids. George the Animal Steel would be on the show because they did their territories, for that time frame, and then they would move out to another area. So my journey began around 5 years old. My parents had a petting zoo. We had all kinds of wonderful critters. A couple of the pictures I sent you, I was in a picture with my mom and I. There was a baboon that my mom was feeding. Real quick story there. The baboon tried eating me. Anytime the animals, like me and animals, just don't get along. I love animals. I love dogs. But every animal at that zoo at one point or the other tried bucking me, kicking me, trampling on me, or eating me. So my sister has the love with the animals more so than me. But that baboon in that picture, and even that little outfit, I had these cute little green, bright blue and green outfit. And you got to understand, that was the 70s back then. So it was like around 71. I was 5. And I remember my mom had to go in and clean the baboon's pen. And so I was sitting on it because I was never allowed in some of the animals' cages because of how scroungy I was. I was such a scrounge. And so my mom says, Heidi, they called me Pigeon or Feather because I was always scroungy. and my hair would flip. So that's where the feather came. So my mom says, feather or pigeon, stay on the outside of the fence and just stay there till mommy said. I'm like, okay, mommy. So here I am, you know, drawing in the dirt outside of the baboon's pen, minding my own business. All of a sudden, the overalls I was wearing, the baboon grabs it and just started. It looked like something on a movie or a like somebody getting pranked. So the baboon started pulling me to the cage, like just trying to get, like, shake the crap out of me, right? And I'm screaming blood curdling screams. And my body,
little girl.
Like this. I'm 5. I'm traumatized. And my mom had a shovel, so she hit the baboon's hand. It let go of me. But yeah, that was one of the stories.
So this was your first time really being physically shaken up?
Yes, I think that's when my brain probably got jarred.
Right. I was looking for this picture because I wanted to see an example of it. I can't find it. I was looking for this picture, but I can't find it. But I'm just visualizing the story that you're telling. It must have been so horrifying.
And those things are
oh my God. And you know what? I think about it now. If that happened to some kids today, they would probably like have lost it.
Oh,
I
sure.
mean, I just think sometimes, listen, we all go through crap. Nobody is exempt. It's your choice on how you're going to deal with it. You can either fall down and say, oh my God, my world is over. Or you can pick up yourself, put on your big girl panties and just say, I want to live. So, you know, but I think back on some of this stuff that has occurred and I'm like, oh, that's why my paddles don't quite reach the pond is the joke that we always say. But that was one experience. But yeah, and then there's a picture of my brother and I that we are sitting there with Rory and Leo, our lion cubs. They came from Africa and we nursed them. We were feeding them by the bottle. And then there's another picture, Angel, that I had sent you guys that it was with me, a Labrador retriever, and then there was a tiny little bear in the background. His name was Nippy. And they called him Nippy because if you sat on the chair and your hiney hung over, he would nip at your butt. But Nippy was one of the few
he was after you a lot, right?
Him and the two lion cubs didn't try eating me. And then even horses. My sister and brother were big horse fans. And
I didn't get these pictures, Tommy. I want to see them, but I didn't get them.
Why you didn't get them?
No, I got like 7 pictures from you, and the rest I
you know
I took myself.
I don't even know how I would show you them.
Are they on your Facebook by any chance?
I don't.
I didn't get that many.
I sent them to Tommy through Facebook Messenger.
Well, either way, it sounds fascinating.
Here they are. They weren't all here before. They must have just come through.
Okay, so I don't have those, but I'm visualizing it as you're telling the story.
Tommy, you see the one with me and my mom with the I just went brain dead. The monkey, the orangutan, not the orangutan.
No, I see the bear. You and the bear. Hold on. You and looks like cubs. There's your father, I guess, posing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Here. Is it in the cage? Yeah. Hold on.
Yes, my mom's in the cage. Yep. That's the monkey that tried shaking me to death in that same outfit.
Oh wow!
Show the lion cubs. Show the lion cubs.
They're scary. I can't imagine.
What picture you want, and I'll find it.
The one with my brother and I sitting with the lion cubs on our lap.
Got it.
Oh,
we lost Heidi for a second. Oh, there she goes.
I can't touch this or I'll get disconnected.
Okay, great.
It bounces right back.
Yep, that's the lion cubs, Rory and Leo. That's my brother.
Wow.
Yep.
They got like
so how many animals were there?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Nope.
Good. I can hear you. We're good. How many animals? We lost Heidi again. So give us a minute. we lost Heidi again.
In the meantime, I'll show you this. I'm not
Oh,
sure.
that is Heidi and Paul Orndorff.
No, I don't know.
Wow.
Is that Orndorff? No.
That is,
Maybe.
I'm sure that's Paul Orndorff. Let's okay, here she comes back on.
Yes, that's how my wrestling career started, right there.
That's Paul Orndorff, right?
Yes, and then there's another picture that I sent Tommy. Tommy, show the other picture. That was right before Paul died, a year before Paul died. The next picture. See it where I'm leaning on him?
Yes, yes. Hold on.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. I have very fond memories. Yeah, when he passed away, I was sad. So
now, how old were you in that picture where you guys were posing together?
I just turned 19. I turned 19 in June. We went to Vince McMahon Jr.'s office August of 1985. Mm-hmm. And propositions, my mom and dad at that time, they went from the zoo. I mean, there's a whole story from the zoo and when my dad wrestled then. So you have 20 years that lapse between that time and that time where we went to Vince McMahon's office at Stamford, Connecticut, and they were still called WWF. Vince, again, Gorilla Monsoon, very good friends with my parents. My mom and dad at that point in the 80s had a very successful chemical business, paint removers, stripping and refinishing. They had a lot of private label companies they worked for. And so we went to get permission to use Paul Orndorff because he was Paul Mr. Wonderful Orndorff. And I had just won 3 different trophies for bodybuilding. And so being a kid of the business, that was 2018. But there's other ones, Tommy. Mm-hmm. If you go back, there's me with my pictures. It's a black and white one.
Okay.
You see it?
I'll find it.
Yeah.
Are you
so
posing?
When you find that, show that. Because that was like me first starting doing the exhibitions for WWF. Yeah. Yep. Oh, that was to a blank screen.
Hey, listen, I was Mr. New Jersey. We really could have made a couple. I don't know. I think you might have dropped the ball there.
Listen, I didn't marry any of the boys because I didn't want to be divorced, and look what happened anyhow.
Really good idea, though, initially.
I didn't believe in it. He just likes women. I didn't want to share. You know?
Oh, boy. So here was, here's some stuff.
So so we went up to get permission to use Paul, and that day in August, Vince looked at the pictures and he looked at me and he says, "You want to wrestle?" I said, "Hell no." He says, "You've been raced around the business, young lady." I said, "That doesn't mean I want to do it." And my dad really didn't want me to do it because he knew how they treated the women and he was not going to have his daughters treated like crap, period. And my dad's like, no. And Vince looks and he says, "Would you be interested in doing bodybuilding exhibitions between my matches then?" And of course, I'm like, yeah, that's my dream,
Of course.
So when I did the Spectrum that September, when the Spectrum was still opened, and that was the most incredible experience. I shared a dressing room with Randy, Macho Man Savage, and Miss Elizabeth.
Awesome.
And he was very territorial of her. Yeah. Very. And he kept on coming in and she's like, "Oh, Randy, she ain't bothering me. Just leave her alone." And we hit it off. So when I did other exhibitions, because I did many exhibitions for WWE or WWF at that point, it was like one a month from September, October, November, none in December, January, February, because I did from like Baltimore, New York, out to PA.
So they were within the show?
Yes, in between matches. And all the shows that I did were at the big Coliseums. So here I am, this 19-year-old kid, sharing a dressing room with Macho Man and Miss Elizabeth every time that I went on.
That's great.
And my mom came with me. Dad never traveled with me. It was just my mother. And my mother would go right up to the top where the sound was to make sure the sound was on and right on cue and on track. My mom was very good at that. And it was just an incredible ride. And then finally,
Were
mom and
these
dad constantly
exhibitions?
being
I'm
on and off.
sorry.
What's
Were
that?
these exhibitions where you would
Exhibitions,
come
yes. So it
out
was a
in
wrestling
between the
show.
matches and pose with
Yes,
other
I did
girls?
a 90-minute routine. Yes.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
90-minute bodybuilding exhibition. And unlike Tommy, you know, from competing, when we're competing, we only have one side of an audience. You know, Tommy and Angel, from being a wrestler, we don't have one side. We don't have four sides. We have 8 sides
Right.
because we have 4 turnbuckles and we have 4 sides of the ring, right? So it took me 3 weeks to compose the first routine to make sure I hit all 8 sides. So that way everybody had a chance to view it. And Vince just appreciated what I put into it.
Nice.
And they kept on asking. And of course, my mom was on the phone with them all the time because of the publicity and this contract, that contract, because of Paul, yada, yada, yada. What the advertisements were going out in, yada, yada, yada. Mm-hmm. And then finally, my mother spoke with the office, and the gentleman's name was Mark, and Mark's like, you know, she could really make some money if she wrestled. So my mother says, listen, they're saying you could make some money. You got to go to Mola's school. She's the best in the business for the women. She's the one who books the women. And my mom and dad, my mom was the one who got on the phone with Lillian, aka Mola, and set up the contracts. I had a 6-month contract. And that June, I was going on 20 years old, and my journey began. It began with the wrestling, and then it took 7 years to get back to WWE. I'm like,
so you were trained? You were trained by Moolah?
Wow.
Huh?
You trained with Moolah?
Yeah, I was the last of the Mohicans.
For 6
like
months?
If you've ever seen any of my interviews, and this is why that generation of women, like Debbie Combs, her mom was in the industry. They took care of the Tennessee area, Kentucky area, but Judy Martin beat the shit out of me. Leilani Kai beat the shit out of me. Susie Starr was there to help teach me aerials. Velvet McIntyre, she was there at the same time and taught me how to do a lot of the aerials. Donna Crisantelli she was the steady trainer. When I first went to Mola school, all the girls were overseas. So Leilani was over in Japan because she was loved with the Japanese organization. So she was there, and everybody else was in Egypt with WWF. And what happened was that tour that they were on, they weren't allowed to wrestle because Egypt would not let women show their bodies. So WWF, they were still WWF at the time, not WWE, had to make sure all those women that were sent over, it was Judy, Velvet McIntyre, Susie Starr, a couple other women, they made sure that they were protected, that they, because they didn't want to lose any of the people on the tour, obviously. But so it was Moolah who I actually worked with for my first 3 weeks. And I felt honored and privileged because really after that, she really didn't train. That was it. I was the last. I mean, Judy and Leilani will tell you because they were the last ones to leave her property. I was literally the last female that made something out of themselves out of that school.
Did she treat you okay?
Got the shit beat out of me to walk the walk because I was small. Tell me, I was small. Back then, my size was unheard of. It wasn't until 10 years later, girls my size started coming in. So I had to work harder to prove myself. And also because I did come from a wrestling family. So they didn't care that you came from it. You better be able to work because you ain't getting shit handed to you. So they were like, everyone thinks, oh, if you come from a family, you got to be, no. It's actually harder because you have to prove yourself.
They scrutinize
every time you get in the ring.
I recall you standing next to Candy Devine and Wendy Richter in the ring. What was that, a title belt? That was a title belt that you had at the time?
So we actually won the title belt for a combination tag for WOW, Women of Wrestling, women wrestling organization, and they were running shows in Fort Lauderdale and Miami, and they would fly us down. That went on for probably like 2 years off and on. They would do like 2 shows a year, and all the incredible women. I mean, that's where I met Luna Vachon for the first time. I already knew Wendy because of working with Wendy for for NWF. I already knew Candy because another promotion I worked for, Candy was there, and I met Debbie Combs through another promotion. So I was I was very, very blessed, but I also, Angel, you would appreciate this. When I would go to a show and I knew there was a veteran there, even if because like we had the conversation, my dad was a big fan of Big Mark. My dad could tell you up to 5 years ago who was wrestling, even independently. I have no idea. Like, I have no clue. And it's terrible. I have no clue. But my dad would know because my dad is genuinely, truly, truly a fan. So even like if I was going to be on a card and my dad would be like, well, who's on the card? I'm like, well, I don't know. They're saying this. And he's like, oh my God, this is so-and-so. You better not, blah, 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 blah. So I got the 411 on who these individuals are, even though I really did not know them personally. Right. So when I would go in, I would be respectful. And if there was time, I would literally ask if we could roll, because sometimes you're right or wrong, Tommy. I mean, sometimes your seniors like it when the greenheads come in or the newbies come in and show the respect. And I didn't roll to shoot with them for me to show what I could do. I was picking their brain, and that's why. Like Wendy Richter, because Wendy was very bitter towards Moolah's school because what Moolah did to her. So initially, Wendy didn't want to deal with any of the girls that came from Moolah's school. So when she initially heard I came from Moolah's school, she's like, yeah, I don't think so. I don't want to wrestle anybody at Moolah's school, because she felt like Moolah was trying to sabotage her, right?
You won her over.
How about that?
Yeah. And when she realized that that wasn't what I was about, that I was my own person, and we shared some stories, hers a lot more horrific than mine was because I spent less time there. It just creates a sisterhood in the industry, but I had respect. So my wrestling was not like my fundamental wrestling. Yeah, I came from wrestling. Yeah, we played in the ring, but we really didn't. We just played. We were playing. We didn't realize what we were doing, setting a tone, planting a seed, like I said earlier, Angel. And then you come along in life, and then you go here. My foundation was from Moolah and every woman that was still there, because I rolled with Velvet and Susie Starr and Donna Crisantelli and Judy Martin and even Katie the midget, Moolah herself. And then you leave there, and I come up, and my dad gets a hold of Johnny Rods, and Johnny Rods, we were fortunate to work out in his facility at Gleason Gym, which was an old school sweatbox boxing facility that was in every movie back in the day.
Still is.
So it was really
Good
cool
old
to roll
Gleason.
in that ring.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was really cool to roll in that ring. And Johnny didn't play around. Johnny was a shooter. And Johnny's like, you better do this. Like a dad, like, if you do this, this is what's going to happen. If you do this, like everything had a consequence. And because of your size, you better be able to take care of yourself, because you don't look like all of them. And because you don't dress like all of them. And you're going to have a lot of problems. So get used to it now, because every time you get in the ring, somebody's going to want to shoot with you. So, you hear this stuff, and it's like, okay, I gotta make sure I just protect myself. And that was it. But I was very fortunate where I would go to different territories and I would roll. I rolled with Joyce Grable. How freaking awesome is that? Not in a million years did I ever think I would get to roll with her. The only one I didn't get to roll with, and I wish I did, was Sherry Martel. I knew that Sherry was stiff. All the women always said that, you know, the group that she came from, oh my God, she was stiff. She was this. You know, everybody said Luna was a nut. Everybody said that Luna beat the shit out of him in the ring. Well, I was pretty fortunate. Luna liked me. So,
Right.
you know, I didn't get that Luna in the ring. I got the professional Luna in the ring. You know, I mean, Alundra Blaze and I talk about that all the time. Amy Lee Palmer, her and I talk about it all the time because her and Luna at the end, Luna and her were tag team partnering up. And, you know, Luna was sharing stories. And those stories were basically true. And, you know, when they would come back and she would say something like, because Amy, you know, Amy's husband was my sparring buddy and my shoot teacher to make sure he's like a dad to me. He's like,
Artie.
you know, make it, yeah, Artie Palmer. Like,
Yes.
I give him, like, that man was, oh, look at this, you know, from the Mexican wrestler and Japanese wrestling. He was my polisher. He was the one that said, you can do that. Come on, let's go out into your ring and do it. And he would let me climb all over him and put the holds on in the technique so I could master it so I didn't hurt anyone. You know, so I was really, really very, very fortunate with all of that. But if I needed to stand up for myself, I would too. Like, I wasn't a pushover. And the women in the industry knew that, you know, but I wasn't going to disrespect you unless you showed no integrity. Then it's like you just opened up Pandora box for yourself, you know? But yeah, that's how I got started. And, I mean, there's a lot of stories in between getting to there and even on the road, you know, a lot of stories.
I got a couple questions. So,
Sure.
Since your career is so much, so what year did you break in?
I broke in June of 1986.
So did I break in '86. Now,
where'd you go, Tommy?
What's that?
Where'd you go?
I was trained by Bobby Bold Eagle and Ted Petty.
Oh, Teddy. Oh,
Yeah.
but
So
one of the
the
best.
funny thing is, what you're explaining is the exact position I was in. All the old school guys were still around. Davey O'Hannon, Johnny Rodz, Baron Cicluna, you know, Dick Worley. You know, all those guys were still around, and they were still, like, not at the tail end, but getting close, but still, you know, they were still doing it. And they just welcomed me because my mother's best friend was the aunt of Pete Reeves. Do you remember Pete Reeves? He was
Yes.
a little guy. He had a goatee. Yeah.
Yes.
He was part of that whole newspaper crew. Davey O'Hannon and all of them.
Oh, okay.
So I started bugging him at 14. So then fast forward, I was 240 pounds and I got into the business and I contacted him and brought him down. He goes, I can't believe this little kid that was in my yard bugging my aunt to see me is now got me on his show. But we were very lucky because if we'd have been a few years later, we would have missed a lot of those guys.
Yeah. Yeah.
And when I said to Davey, I was only at the tail end. He goes, no, you're part of the crew. I was like, okay. And, you know, we have these people that we could call on. Johnny Rodz. Who can you call that's going to tell you more than him?
Oh,
you know?
Absolutely.
Who are we going to have on that's going to tell us what we haven't heard? Heidi Lee Morgan. I found out a bunch of stuff already that I didn't know. So, awesome.
Me too.
Yeah.
I'm actually going through some pictures here, Heidi.
Yeah, so this one was for pull the one up with me and I think that was women WOW. Yes. Wow. Yeah.
Exactly.
The WOW organization. Yeah.
Wild
Because
Women of
the
Wrestling.
outfit I have on at that time, I just joined forces with Misty Blue, working with NWA because I came from Mola School. Misty came from Walter Kowalski's school. We were both making names for herself in the industry, but Misty had the reputation that Moolah had where she booked people and would take percentages. And I'm like, yeah, that ain't happening for me. So when Misty reached out to me to work with WCW because they actually requested me because of all the magazine coverage I was getting. So she really didn't have a choice because when she spoke with JJ Dillon, because JJ was there at the time, when when NWA was transferring over to WCW and Crockett was selling out and everything. So Misty reached out to me and she says, I know you don't know me. I know that our paths have not crossed, but this is the first time it's going to. Only if you want to. We have an opportunity to work for NWA going into WCW, but they want you and like my group. And she says, and I know you work independently. You can deal with them directly. Because I know that's how you operate. And I said, that is how I operate, because ain't anybody gonna like tell me X, Y, or Z. Like, I'll take orders from the promoter, and you don't mind people passing on your name, but we're not playing that little game that Mula played with her people. So that being said, Misty and I had very good chemistry working together. I mean, we really did. I don't care what her reputation was. I don't care what she came from, what she did. That's irrelevant to me. That was not me.
Another one. She was fantastic.
Thought that they were going to put me in that same category. They're sadly mistaken if they even thought, because when we did go to work for WCW, aka NWA turning into WCW, we were there the very first night and we were given our orders. And we had to change. So her husband, John Sims, was in the room with us. And I'm going to be very candid because I have nothing to hide. And so next thing you know, the girls are getting undressed in front of John. Like nothing. And I'm looking. And I'm like, no. And I said, excuse me. Now, Tom, you know how I was.
Yes.
So I said, excuse me. And Misty looks, she says, what's up? And I said, no, not you. I said, excuse me, John. And he's like, yes. I said, can you please get your ass out of the room? Because nobody sees these tatas. And they all started laughing at me. and he says, well, because I was a bodybuilder and I didn't have my implants at the time. And he says, well, I'm sure, I said, I don't care. You haven't seen mine. Nor are you going to see mine. So get your ass out of there, or I will leave and go get changed in the ladies' room.
Good for you.
And that was it. It started. It set the precedence. I had no issues after that. So if anybody thinks that they wanted to create rumors or any of that nonsense, they're sadly mistaken, because that shit did not fly with me. No.
I think you're one of you ladies that I've never heard anything negative about you from anyone. I don't think anyone has.
No. Well, sometimes, one guy when I first started said, when I wrestled Donna Criscentelli the one time, some schmeckle, this is when I was at Mola's, right? So here I am, a kid, my very first match, Donna Criscentelli and I had to travel 4 hours. He hands us the money in front of everybody. And I looked and I said, Mola said that you would be handing us like in the office. And he says, oh, no, just go ahead and take it. And he snickered. Well, then I found out from another gentleman 2 years, so 86. And in 87, I used to fly down to North Carolina. Oh, I forget the promoter's name. I remember his face as clear as day. Nicest gentleman in the world.
Randy?
He was a big Bambi and Peggy fan, because Bambi and Peggy, that was their territory. And awesome women, awesome wrestlers as well. And I worked with them many times. But we were like, he wanted a change up. Well, he told me that scumball promoter said that, he says, do you know so-and-so? I said, very vaguely. And he says, well, it was one of your first. I said, oh, yeah. He says, well, do you know what he was telling the boys, what you did? And I said, no. Like, I was mortified. He says, oh, yeah. He says, did he pay you in front of everybody? I said, yeah, me and Donna both. And me and Donna Criscentelli said, that's not how this was supposed to go down. You're supposed to stay professional in the locker room, right? And he says, yeah, because he told the boys that you guys did something nasty, like perverted to each other, okay? And that he paid you guys in front of everybody to prove that's why. I said, how in the okay? Because I dropped the F-bombs. I'm like, how in the does that prove that I did that? First off, I'm not gay. I don't like women. They don't have the same tools. And how dare he? I'm like, Greg Price was his name, was the gentleman who told me. I'm like, that's messed up. Like, I'm like, that like, if I was not a strong-willed person and I did not know myself, I would be like, that's messed up. I'm not going to say I haven't done some shitty stuff in my life. I have. Trust and believe. But not
Yeah, but you would
that.
take up for that. You're not going to take up for something you didn't do.
No, but like if I did it, I'm going to own it, and I'm sure as hell not going to do that just to get a booking.
Right.
Because to me, and I know that, like, I know people have a different mentality. They're like, well, if you're getting paid, no, like, you can't put a price on my soul. To me, that's part of my soul. Okay. We're talking about my work ethic. Okay. If you can't pay me for my work ethic, then I don't need to be there. I don't need to do anything else, because what I choose to do behind doors has nothing to do with my work ethic.
Yeah.
Right.
And nor should I be judged on that.
And it's great that you knew how to separate that, because a lot of people don't. And that's what the problem arises with people's careers, because they don't know how to separate the personal from the business.
And, you know, sometimes, Angel, though, I think it's hard because you do become a family. Tom, you know this.
Yeah.
Ted Petty. Like, I trusted Teddy and Dan, his ring guy, like
Danny Thomas,
with my life. Tom Brandy, Kahlua, like I trusted those guys with my life. Nikolai Volkov was my father on the road. I used to smoke cigarettes, and he used to call me Chimney, and he'd be like, Chimney, I'm not calling your dad because you don't want, because I played practical jokes on people all the time, and I happened to do this crap when we would be overseas, and like I would be so ornery that Nikolai, it would drive him nuts. He's like, you're going to get yourself killed. Like, I can't protect you, so knock your shit off, because I can't protect you.
Do me a favor, Heidi.
I got a picture up here.
Tell me about this.
I see.
Oh my gosh, yes. So this trip here, could you? I don't want to touch the screen because I'm afraid if I touch the screen, I'm going to screw it up. Let me see if I can pull it up on my computer.
Right. I see Carmine DeSpirito, I believe.
Yes. So
Carmine
came on many shows with us because he was a photographer for Wrestling Eye. Okay. And if anybody knows, Wrestling Eye was the #1 magazine outside of All-Star Wrestling.
It was more like a shoot.
Okay. What's that?
It was more like a shoot magazine.
Yeah. But with that, we, like, if you were in that magazine, you were getting booked, and you could call your number, right or wrong, Tommy.
I got the color picture of me in there. Boom.
Yep. So that was if you were lucky to be in there, that was your ace in the hole to get your price on the independent circuit and to get to WWE. Right?
Yeah, or if you knew Bob Smith.
Lucky. And Carmine was there because the promoter paid him to come along on the trip to take pictures and stuff. And Carmine's a good kid. He's younger than I am.
Carmine's great.
But that was one of the trips. I'm trying to see.
So Bob
that was for Dominic DeNucci.
Oh, really?
That was for Dominic DeNucci. Wait a minute.
We got another one.
No, that wasn't. That was for Bob. That was for
Uri?
Bob. Yeah,
Bob
that
Uri.
was for Bob, who was from North Jersey. Oh, shoot. What was his last name? Bob was the one who always booked overseas trips.
It wasn't Bob Uri?
Yes, Bob Uri. Yes. Thank you. Yes, it was Bob
welcome.
Uri. Oh, my God. What fun we had.
Yeah.
What fun.
Here's another one here with you.
I don't see
on the table
Tony
there.
Atlas, though. Tony Atlas used to be, unless he wasn't in that.
Yeah, I think he was, because I saw a picture of him and Teddy from that trip coming from the gym.
Yes. So he was on that trip, but that's not all the guys. There's a couple boys missing.
Yeah,
There's definitely a couple of the boys missing from that
Maybe
trip.
in this one.
So that was for Bob overseas. Yeah, that was a fun trip.
That looks like a lot of fun.
Oh my God, we were so friggin' bad.
Was that Coco Beware on the end there?
Yeah.
Well, you know what? There's no drama on a show like that.
No, we had fun. Like, you got homesick. You definitely got homesick. But there was everybody, we're in a foreign country. Everybody, for the most part, would try to stay together. So that way, we had a shield with us, right? I always traveled. Me and Nikolai, I was always with Nikolai because Nikolai could speak 10 different languages. And he's like, Chimney, I got to get you home to your dad. I don't need you getting hurt. I was his daughter on the road. So it was very, very helpful to me. But it also drove him nuts because I like to get the keys to the guy's room and mess their rooms up, and it would drive him to like literally drive him nuts. You know,
This
this
is awesome.
picture here, I can't see who I have an armbar on, but that's me in the bottom. I can tell.
Yeah.
With the armbar, I just can't see it clearly.
All right. Let me see. Let's say. Oh, okay. Angie Minelli?
Angie Minelli from PAL.
Yes.
Yes, from PAL. Yes.
I got a picture of you and your dad here.
That's a great one. And let's see. We got this actually let's see. This was from what? Medusa's?
That's the original ladies show. What is it? With the
that was from
Hello?
No. This is WWE, guys.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
This was WWE. This was they were talking about the women of there was something that was going on, right? This was right at the time I got pregnant with my daughter when that came out. And then here's all the women from the generation.
Who was that? The Japanese girl, was that?
Bull Nakano.
Bull Nakano. Oh my God, was she
Yeah.
friggin' talented? Yes.
Ooh.
Yeah, she's very, very talented.
She could beat guys, that girl.
Oh my God,
It's incredible.
And who was this one with the hair straight up?
Yeah.
Yeah,
She
Bull.
used a lot of rave.
Bet.
Like literally, like she would put a hole and then keep her hair upside down and just blow dry it that way.
Incredible.
That real skinny, tall girl. What was her name?
Maxine, right?
Maxine.
Lady Maxine.
Yeah, I didn't really know Maxine. She was on a couple cards with me, but I really didn't know her.
Wasn't she one of those?
Yeah, so I mean, I'm not gonna, like, who I wrestled was Joyce Grable, Sue Sexton, Susan Green,
girls from the Mildred Burke
Debbie
era,
Combs,
actually,
Candy
right?
Huh?
Yeah, girls from the Mildred Burke era.
Yeah,
Like
Desiree Peterson.
Wow.
Who else? A couple of the Glow Girls, Brandon May, Lisa Moretti,
now,
and then all the LPWA girls. You know, we had all the best women in the industry for that.
Is it true that a lot of those Glow girls weren't really trained?
No, they weren't. So it's now. So we'll flash back because I know I'm bouncing all over the place.
Okay.
So in '87, working for NWF I was working for NWF as a heel, a Bear Girl, against Wendy and stuff. I had an opportunity to work with PAL. And so that's when Glow fell apart. David McLean took his little harem of girls. And yep, that was me. I was 11 years old. That's when my dad was Tooling McTavish. And that's what we were talking about before, Angel, before we started recording this interview, the biography on my life. And I know I'm jumping all over the place. But when I was 5 and we had the zoo, my dad went as little Abner. And that being said, because we had all the little critters, we would bring a little piggy or a little goat to the ring. I would hold it, and I was only 5. Now I have a sister. At that time I had a sister and a brother, and my sister and brother weren't the entertainers in the family, and I was the youngest. Not that the youngest is the entertainer, but my dad knew I was more flexible and pliable than the other two, because my sister was not she's always just been a warden. I just like, even to this day, she's only 3 years older, and I still act as she's like, I'm the best child you ever had. You know? She's 3 years older, but my sister would beat the crap out of you. Like, you look at her wrong, she'd smack you, and like my dad's like, yeah, I can't have that going out to the ring. So I was the entertainer, like, ta-da, I'm here. And so I would go out with them. And I would carry the little pig or the little goat, and I go around the rink, and I take my dad's hat, and then I go back to the dressing room. And then you fast forward him doing the Tooling McTavish gimmick. My mom made us the outfits, very good seamstress, and my dad and I would do this really cool little Scottish jig, and we would be done it. And then I would take his hat and Tommy's hat, and I would take the stuff back to the dressing room, and that was a wrap.
So you actually started when you were 5 years
yes,
old.
but I wasn't
So
taking bumps.
You're
Now,
right.
you're Scottish?
My dad's dad is, yes.
My
Yeah,
wife's,
and then
well,
my dad's mother is full German, and then my mom's side comes from a mutt mix, so that's why I'm like, I'm an American, and I got like everything in me, you know.
Now that
Right.
little Abner gimmick, did that spring from because he knew he had the animals and he could work with them, or
Yes.
did he come up with it?
Yes, because my dad always tried. My dad just being in love with wrestling in general, not entertainment, not the entertainment industry. He had no interest in the entertainment. He liked wrestling. He liked lifting. He liked that stuff, and he was big. Like he knew a fan. He knew everybody, and he really knew his sport very, very well. And him and my mom always had a business. Back in those days when they had the zoo, they were a trash rubbish company. And yep, that was my dad. I was only 2 when that picture was taken.
Really?
So I was a little toddler then.
Sounds familiar.
You see, that's where I get my love of lifting from. He taught me how to lift, you know? And
Listen, you don't understand how close
it's amazing again, Angel, like we were saying, how the seeds planted without even realizing it, and then you fast forward to where you're at, and then you look back and it's like, oh, I see how the seeds were planted and blossomed, and maybe weeds pulled here, replanted there, and how you grow from it, you know? So
you know what? Not that we're jumping all over the place, but I just wanted to get back to the bodybuilding just for a second. What titles did you win?
I was the Greater Philadelphia teen champion 3 years in a row.
Wow.
I was the champion in 1984, 5, and 6. And then I was second place Miss New Jersey in 1985.
Our careers are exactly the same. I won the Mr. New Jersey middleweight
So-
in 83.
Okay, so then you would know, maybe. So when I first started lifting, I was always an active child. I danced, I was in gymnastics, and it got to a point, I was like 15. My mom was always heavy. Tommy, I don't know if you remember my mom or not, but Angel, my mom was always obese, God rest her soul. And I remember my mom saying when I was like 5, 6 years old, look at me, look at your mother. You don't ever want to look like this. And at that time, my mom was like 225, right? But my mom always worked. So she was an active 225, solid. Her, my dad always had very hard physical businesses. So it wasn't like my mom could sit around looking cute. So my mom was very strong within and just naturally strong and solid. And I remember my mom always saying, don't eat over it, don't smoke over it. This is what stress does to you. And every diet out there works. I tell my people now, because I'm in that industry, you know, as a trainer. Well, I'm an educator, not a trainer. You know, I'm an educator in the fitness industry. I've worked my way into a very nice spot with Planet Fitness. God bless. Long story short, I heard this day in and day out. Yeah, those pictures were taken in 2016.
Incredible.
Wow.
Yeah, 2016. I was 49.
God bless you.
Yeah, 49.
Wow.
Yeah. 49 years old. And that one, that was 2018. I was 50, let me see, I'm 55 now. So what
God
was
bless
I?
you.
Like 51, 52. So I was going through a very bad divorce. Like I was telling Angel. I can't wait, let me rephrase that. It was not a horrific divorce. I have no one, like it just, he broke my heart and I didn't want to deal with it. So I just figured, you know what, let me put all my energy into just working out instead of processing the divorce. And that's what I did. And that was the result. And I took third in an NPC competition. I just needed to stay busy where I didn't have time to think.
Being active is the best way to get over things.
And it
obviously this worked out in your favor.
Always saved my life. It got me through my crisis that I was going through. And I'm not the first person divorced. You know, I won't be the last. It was just devastating because we were married 23 years. I was with him for 25. So you don't get married to get a divorce, right?
Right.
But you have to love yourself a little bit more than someone disrespecting you. And there's got to be a time that you're done being a doormat. And I just,
agreed.
yeah, that's where I was at. You know, I'm like, I'm done. I can't do this anymore. You know, I gave up my career. I literally gave up my career for him. And, you know, you guys know that our career is not something you can start at 50 and think that you have, you know, all this time. You might be a promoter, but if you don't have a name by the time you're 30, you know, it's very hard to make a name after that in this industry. Right?
Diamond Dallas Page maybe was the only one that I could think of that.
Right, I agree.
In the game.
But you start off with $1 million, though. It's real easy.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
With $1 million, so
Exactly.
not all people have that
On
opportunity.
how well we paralleled our careers. 2 years old with the magazine, with the bodybuilder, doing the same pose that your father did.
Wow.
The one to Mr. New Jersey with.
That's precious.
Is that crazy?
I got to ask you, Heidi, in your wrestling career, who would you say, if you had to be partial, was probably your favorite opponent of all time? I know it's hard. Take a minute.
You know, I mean, I've had so many incredible matches, like Rusty the Fox Thomas, like it was dancing with her. But my Bull Nakana was another one that was awesome, and she couldn't even speak English. But it was like dancing, like we just could dance very nicely in the ring. Not to offend anybody out there, because I wrestled so many incredible women. By far, it would be Leilani Kai.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Leilani Kai she still has the charisma as a heel to work the crowd and know how to manipulate them enough to get the baby face the sympathy they needed. And if she thought you were a good worker, she would put you over. She incredible. And I've also watched her when she hasn't liked people on how she would just look like a piece of poo in the ring too. And to do that, people don't understand. That's not easy to do, to make somebody look really bad in the ring. And we all witnessed that firsthand on an LPWA show, because an issue went on with one of the girls who, because she was a bodybuilder and the one promoter of one of the financiers, everybody thought something was going on, and all of a sudden they want to push this girl. Well, you got to understand, the women that were there, we all believed that you got there with integrity, not anything else. So we see one apple in the group that decides they want to roll off on their own way instead of keeping the group intact and integrity wise. And you got to understand what those women went through. They're like, yeah, that shit ain't flying. So 50 women witnessed Leilani literally mortify this girl in a match. And it wasn't where she beat the shit out of the girl. It was totally opposite. I mean, she made this girl look so friggin' bad.
She blew her up?
That was it. The promoter didn't continue to do what he was doing because that set a precedent. You go ahead and do that, mofo, when this girl hasn't even earned her stripes, and you think you're going to do that. And everybody, but that's where the unity kicked in. We were all right beside each other. We weren't pulling back saying, no, that was wrong. We were like, that's right. We work together as a team, or you don't at all.
And
She's a bodybuilder doesn't mean shit. That girl did not earn her spot with them.
Now, if she
you're not going to let somebody take your spot,
when I tell
you work so hard.
I mean, she made it look bad. And it wasn't, like I said, it wasn't like you would think where it was a shoot. I mean, she made it look bad. If you want to talk about not working a spot, Leilani showed you how it was not to work a spot.
Oh, great.
Absolutely. To the fullest degree. So that takes pure talent to do from one extreme to the other.
Absolutely.
promoter-
Making someone look good, it's just as hard to make someone look bad as it is to make them look
Yeah,
good.
harder.
So
Absolutely.
bravo to her for that.
The
Yep,
promoter put her in a
absolutely.
bad situation, and if she was a little bit smart, she would have done this. She would have went to whoever she was working with and said, "Listen, I know you guys probably want to kick my ass. I didn't ask for this position. This is what the promoter put me. Please, work with me, and I have total respect for what your abilities, and I know you can wipe the mat with me, but I'm here and I want to make the best of it."
Right. If that was the case, that would have been fine, but that wasn't the case,
Right.
because that's not what the girl's intention was. On the other hand, the girl was going behind saying she deserved it because she had X, Y, and Z behind her belt, and she had nothing in the industry behind her belt.
And if you're the one,
And you don't like that gets back. I mean,
Yeah.
with these people in general, whether you're a guy or a girl in the sport or in any endeavor that you're in, if you think that information's not going to get back to you, you're sadly mistaken. Eventually it's going to come out. So she didn't think that her little conversation between her and the promoter would ever get beyond that. But he's got business partners, and they're like, why is she getting pushed? Well, no. So those promoters, are given, and like that did not fly, because she was only worried about making herself look good,
Right.
not coming in saying, okay, I'm new, forgive me just because I look this way. No, she went and corrosed her way, or corrosed.
Okay.
She sneaked her way in, making it look like she was something that she really wasn't.
Well, you know what? If she was so good as she thought she was, she would have been able to work herself good out of a bad match. And when you can't, then you don't deserve to be there.
And it was dependent upon Leilani Kai or whoever the opponent would be to take care of the business, or the other people in her locker room would have been pissed.
Oh, yeah. And that was the whole thing. So the promoters wanted to make her look so good, and they know that Leilani would make her look so good. And Judy wanted to get in there because Judy just wanted to stretch her. And Leilani's like, no, we're not stretching her. No. Judy's like, but she needs to be. She's like, no, that's not what she needs. She needs to be shown that she knows nothing in the ring. And that's exactly what Leilani thought.
But did that make...
And then it shows the promoters that she knows nothing. And then they figure out, hey, maybe she shouldn't be here, and we should stop screwing over all the girls who are actually working hard to be here and gain their spot. So, yeah, and this happens probably currently more often, than it used to back then, because there were women like yourself and Leilani Kai and a group of other girls who would stand together like a family against the promoters, and eventually make it so that they would get their way because they deserved it.
Now,
Yeah,
what would you
I
have
don't know.
chosen?
What's that?
What route would you have chosen? Because I feel like Leilani made herself look bad where she didn't. If you shot on a girl, you'd end the match and you would look good and you'd be good in the locker room. What would have been your approach if you were her opponent?
I actually think how Leilani handled it was a better way than...
Yeah,
I honestly do. Because instead of shooting with her like the other women wanted to do, she's like, no, you just watch. So Leilani, literally, any move that this young lady would put on her, Leilani would just yawn.
Oh, my God.
She would yawn and she just sat down.
Oh, boy.
Just with her hair. Wow. So it just showed the power that it takes. It's not one person dancing. It takes two. And that was the point and it was recorded, so it wasn't live. And the promoters got that loud and clear. And then they all realized that we were all sticking together. Now, on the flip side, when we were with LPWA, going back to Glow, I had the privilege in '88 working with David McLean, and he took his little harem from Glow and started POW. David McLean and I did not hit it off because I wasn't going to kiss his ass, and I let him know so. Good. And he didn't like that because I actually knew what I was doing, and I had a history in the field, okay? And I also let him know, because of my pride, I'm like, I have no problem working for you, but if I'm going to be pinned, it's going to be from a wrestler that's coming with me into your organization, not one of these girls. I don't care. They've been seen every Saturday morning. They can't tie their shoes. So
Right.
that ain't happening with me. So of course he didn't like me. So his smart ass comment was, well, Lisa Moretti, he's like, I'll put, because Lisa Moretti and I are both bodybuilders. And he says, I'll put you and Lisa Moretti in Times Square and they'll know her over you. So that's the power of TV. And I said, yeah, and you're absolutely right. But at the end of the day, I'm the one who knows how to fucking work, because if somebody comes up to beat our asses, I'm going to get her and I out of there. She ain't getting me out of there. Period. Okay. So that's fine. That, yeah, you're right. But that's still, at the end of the day, that's irrelevant to me. So him and I did not hit it off. But the girls there, Brandy May and Lisa Moretti, we did hit it off. So I toured with them for the 2 weeks, and that was it. And then he folded up because he couldn't compete against what he did do with Glow, because he burned bridges. Then Pal was bought out by someone else. And they were short run, and we had worked, me, Luna, a whole, like in Illinois group. There was a whole group up there of women wrestlers. I forget their names now because they weren't on enormous. Oh, Cindy Paradise. I remember Cindy Paradise. Mm-hmm. The other one who used to be Luna's partner, Penelope Paradise. Those young ladies were from up in that area. So Florida. That's where I met them. Yeah, I met them through that. And then, whatever, that spread out, it stopped. So you flash. So that was back in 87, 88. You go forward now, we're in 92 for LPWA. Now, Lisa Moretti, who AKA is known as Ivy for WWE. Lisa is a beautiful individual. She's my friend on Facebook. We're actually friends. And she comes to LPWA. We were contracted out in Laughlin. And all the best women wrestlers were there. And anybody in the industry knew that. And for once, everybody felt finally we're getting recognition, right? Medusa was there, aka Alundra Blaze. Every best female wrestler in America was there. And so Lisa gets in on it because of her name, with the Pow and Glow. And so LPWA is like, okay, well, we're not going to turn her back on a name. She's got the look. She's got this. Lisa could work. Okay. So of course we would have sessions where we would be working out and rolling. And Judy and Leilani, who beat the shit out of me, were part of the teaching crew there with Brad. Oh God, what was Brad's last name?
Riggins?
Big bulldog dude.
What was his name?
Brad with blonde hair. Oh,
Riggins?
No.
Riggins. That's what I thought. No,
Brad. I'll remember it later. I've been dropped on my head so many times. But he helps with the training to make sure that we were smooth and polished if anybody needed to work on anything, which was really good. They were thinking to keep everybody flowing and moving nicely. So he was working on a couple of things, and Lisa had a match with one of the girls, and Judy and Leilani were the ones that had trainers with Brad in the ring out of respect, and we would get in there and roll and whatever. And Judy and them would use me as I would be the rag doll to do the example. And then Lisa got in there, and she was trying to just, smooth out. And of course, Judy's like, no, that's not how you do it. And then Leilani would say, no, that's not how you do it. Well, next thing you know, they're just picking and picking and picking and picking. And they were right. She wasn't. Well, all of a sudden, Lisa's only she's tinier than me. She's 5'1". Cute little thing, real chiseled and muscular, and all of a sudden these big brown eyes just fill up, and I never always happy and you got to understand, Lisa is always a very happy person. Okay, never out of the couple of years on and off working with her, never ever saw her even on a low point. She was always on point, and I see her eyes just welt up. And she's trying not to cry like a baby. And she holds her breath and her eyes are filling. And I put my hand up and I said, can I please just have 5 minutes with her? And Judy's like, you better do something with her. You know her. We don't, you know what we're about. I'm like, okay, just give me 5 minutes. And I pulled her to the side. And Rusty the Fox was with me right there. And I looked at her and I just grabbed her head. I said, take a deep breath in. And she starts like letting it go. And she's crying, but not huffy. She's not going, but she's just like letting the tears go. And I hold her face. I said, let me explain something to you. You have the talent. You have it in you. But all I want you to do is just take one move that they are giving you. And she looks at me. She's like, what? And I said, F everything else. F everything else that they're throwing at you. Take one spot that they are giving you and master it. That's all I want you to do. And then tomorrow, you're going to do the same thing. And then when we come back, you're going to do the same thing. And before you know it, you're going to have a plethora of the right way of doing these spots. And she's like, okay, I think I can. I said, no, I know you can do this, but you have to stop beating yourself up. I'm trying. I just want them to know that I said, I know you really want to wrestle, but you're trying to take in 5 years of experience in one session, and that ain't going to happen. Just do one spot. So when Lisa went to WWE and she was recognized in the Hall of Fame, next thing, I didn't watch it. I'm getting blown up private messages, text messages. My mom's calling me because my mom and dad watched it because they were both into that stuff. Oh my God, Heidi, Lisa Moretti was on there and gave you a shout out. I said, what? Oh. And it was so beautiful because she was genuine. And she mentioned, her journey to get to WWE. And in that journey, she said that one wrestler stuck out the most in her mind. And she says, this wrestler said to me at my lowest point in the industry, she says, we were working out. And she says, and I had a breakdown. And she says, and this one wrestler came to me, told everybody to stop. And she says to me, just remember one spot at a time. And she said, and it makes me want to cry because she says, I want to thank you, Heidi Lee Morgan, because had not been for you, I wouldn't be here. And that's what it's about. Sometimes it's not about us receiving that. It's about helping someone else on the journey to receive.
How you inspired her so much.
Without even realizing. It.
And you probably don't realize how many people you've inspired, including myself. There's so many women out there that you were the role model to look up to for a long time.
She inspired me to find a girl that was a bodybuilder.
Okay.
What's that?
You inspired me to find a girl that was a bodybuilder.
I sorry, one more time.
You inspired me to find a girlfriend that was a bodybuilder.
Oh.
He's back on this now, Heidi.
I just love you, Tom.
I love you too. Now, so let me ask you this. I'm sorry. Out of all these people, if you were to say that you would not fashion yourself after, but what person had a big enough effect on you that maybe you even used some part of it, or the demeanor, the character, or even just
inspired or influenced? Actually, that was my next question, Tommy. So thanks for asking.
You're welcome.
Yes.
Yes. So with the females in the industry, on how one carries themselves, I always thought Candy Divine, God rest her soul, she just passed away from being sick. She always dressed beautifully. She always, no matter what show she went to, you would never, ever catch Candy Divine dressing sloppy. So that always impressed me. We're talking about clothes. That's all I'm talking about. I'm not talking about anything else. For her, it was how she carried herself when she dressed. She always carried herself, always very, very matched, beautiful. Everything, yes.
Classy, yes.
Now, as far as class, from my observation, Wendy Richter always impressed me. Wendy Richter was like, I can wrestle. I don't need to date you. You're either going to pay me or don't choose me.
Or I'll beat your ass.
The
Yeah,
consummate
and
professional.
I would like you quietly watch, like you step back and you watch on people's behaviors and mannerisms. And I really appreciate and respected how she showed complete class on how she carried herself that I witnessed. I mean, I don't know what went on behind closed doors with the promoters. The promoters I worked for, I really never heard anything negative, that she was a class act. That's what I would hear. I can't say anything more or less, but that impressed me. And to have that much confidence in oneself, knowing their worth. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And she definitely knew her worth.
Mm-hmm.
There's other women that have been extremely successful that are my friends, that just were surviving so they could. And, you know, we've had very long, intense, matter of fact, I'm going to refer to now Alundra Blaze Medusa. She just wrote a biography at Tell All on a lot of the dark crap that woman had to go through. And, you know, when they interviewed me for it, give me 1 second.
Mm-hmm.
I feel honored because I'm part of her travel and her journey. We started about the same time. She just started out Midwest, and I'm here on the East Coast. But, see, my path was a little different than all of the women. I had guardian angels that always looked out for me and protected me. I didn't have the normal behavior that some of the women have in the industry, or men. And it's through God's grace. I don't care who gets mad at that. I know whose it is. It's not because of mine. It's because of God's grace that I was protected and saved. And so when Alundra and Medusa and I were talking, because her and I, you know, even after I left WWE because of being pregnant, she remained my friend. And even her doing the 20 years of Monster Truck, the woman sent me 2 little monster trucks from Matchbox with her autograph on it.
Nice.
When I was going through my divorce, she, and that's another thing that makes me emotional, she sent them to me and they were signed. And I hit her up, and then she called me when she had a chance. She's like, listen, I don't know if they will ever cost, like, ever be worth any value. She says, but you got the bum end of the deal, because you could have been a tag team champion at the Royal Rumble in '95, but you were pregnant and you chose your child. And she says, and nobody knows that. And she says, so I'm really pissed off at your ex that he took your life away from you, because he took it from you. He took your career because you loved him. And for your end result to be where it is, my heart breaks for you. And that meant like, you know, we had a good boo-hoo together. And she says, so God forbid, if you ever need money, I don't know, it's probably only worth $2. Hopefully it's worth more than that. But that's how, you know, so I was honored and I was humbled. But then she shared a lot of stuff. Like, I'm like, Deuce, that didn't happen to me. Like, I don't have those type of stories. She's like, you know, I said, Medusa, like well, I call her real name, but I'm going to, for, you know, this, it's Medusa. I'm like, so the stories I told were like funny stories on when her and I traveled for WWE. She was sticking gum down some of the boys' pants when we would be sitting. We would be in the back waiting, like we were waiting for doing promos for Monday Night Raw.
You got to make your fun.
We're sitting there and she had gum in her mouth and she went like this, and I'm like, you know, because I would just say all she needed was approval. Like, should I do it? I'm like, yeah. And then she would drop it in one of the boys' pants because they'd be leaning over like this doing something. And it would go down, and we're like, how in the hell do they not feel that there's gum in their ass? I mean, in their butt. You know?
It's a good one, though.
I got one more.
Oh, we would be so, and she forgot those stories. So I had her,
Oh.
we were on the phone for like an hour and a half. And I'm like, and you remember this? And do you remember that? And she's dying. She's laughing. She's like, oh my God, I forgot all of that. She's like, I was too busy looking at the doom and gloom. I'm like, well, there was some funny shit, woman. You need to put that in there, right?
Yeah,
and
she was
laughing.
great.
She says, well, do you remember when we had that match? I'm like, no, but I remember what we did at the hotel after.
Right. The fun
And
time.
it wasn't
Right.
like we weren't being promiscuous. We were just ornery. Like
Having
I
fun.
would literally figure out how to get the key to the guys' rooms and just shave and cream their shit down, or
Yeah, it's
take
not
myself
harmful.
and play.
You're not doing
It
anything
was fun.
harmful. So that's
What's
good.
that?
A lot of people did harmful stuff, hurtful stuff.
Oh yeah, no. I
you
always
didn't do
been
that.
playful.
Now
It was
I gotta
always playful.
I ask you this before
Yeah,
I
Paul
forget.
Orndorff, matter of fact.
Really?
So Paul Orndorff. So even though I posed with him in the beginning, so how funny is this journey? So I start off with the bodybuilding pictures with him, do the bodybuilding exhibitions for WWE, right? That's how I started doing the exhibitions. Then I decided to take the journey. So from that journey there, I go into the wrestling. And then it takes me a couple years to get back to WWE because I have to get polished now and to work out all the greenhead in me. And now I come across Paul Orndorff's paths again on shows, and it was for Bobby Uri, right? Bob Uri. So now we're in Aruba and Carousel, and Paul's on the card. And for anybody in the industry, Paul used to be called Oscar, like Oscar the Grouch. So Paul and Brian Blair, the Killer Bee, were very good friends, and we were like all hanging out and whatever. Well, Paul found it to be funny that if he put the salt and pepper shakers in, and back then, like the purses were great big, like suitcases. So I had this great big green purse to match my outfit, and I go to pick it up and I hear like glass clan, and we're in Carousel. You don't steal in foreign countries. I don't know if y'all been in foreign countries.
Yeah,
you don't
right.
steal. You will spend your life in jail. And
Right.
I hear it, and Paul and Brian are sitting together, and of course Paul makes a big scene about and the promoters are looking over that sponsored this big elaborate banquet they were having in honor of us wrestlers that was semi-formal. I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to jail. And I'm like, I open up my purse and I see, and I discreetly try to take it out. And I said to Paul, I said, you picked the right one. Let me tell you, brother, you picked the right one. So I go to the front desk, and Cactus Jack was on the card, him and his wife, Colette. So I run into Colette and Cactus Jack. I said, Jack, I need a favor from you. Mick, I need a favor from you. He's like, anything for you, Heidi. What do you want? I said, I need you to sign an autograph picture. Just your name. Don't put anything else, just your name. He says, I'm not even going to. I said, please don't ask. I just need your picture. He's like, okay, come back to the room. So I go back to the room with him and Colette. He gives me the autograph picture. All right. So now Don Morocco is coming out as we're coming out with the picture. And he's like, what's going on? I said, Don, can I have a picture of you signed? And I said, sure, Heidi, no problem. So Don goes into his room, comes out, gives it. And now those three go off to wherever they were going. I think they were going back to the banquet. So I go to the front desk of the hotel. I give them Paul Orndorff's number. They're like, we don't have the key. I said, may I have the master key? Oh, we can't give the master key. So I go, boop, boop, with Mick Foley, Cactus Jack, and Don Morocco. They're like, oh, hold on. And they give me the master key. And I said, thank you very much. I will return it. I went in Paul Orndorff's room. I laced everything down with Vaseline that man owned. I laced the toilet. I laced his toothbrush. Because back then it was telephones. We didn't have cell phones. The light knobs to turn it on. The
Beautiful.
at the front door. The knobs there. When he went to go grab the remote control. He was 3 rooms away from me and the other wrestler, right? Because me and another female, it was tag team. So my partner and I shared a room, and my tag team partner. Next thing you know, Paul comes to his room. He starts flipping out. So my partner for the wrestling, she gets scared. I said, he ain't gonna hurt us. Trust and believe. He is not gonna hurt us. And she's like, you don't know when to stop. You're gonna get us killed here in Carousel. And I said, no, I'm not. And he comes running out. Next thing you know, I'm like, I said, what do you want? And he says, I don't know. How in the F did you do that? I said, do what? Do what? He said, I got all the keys. How in the hell did you get in my room? I said, that will teach you. And I just begun.
Oh man, that's awesome.
Great.
Good for
Oh
you.
my God, we had so much fun. By the end of that trip, I like Brian and them were all laughing. SD Joan, they were all laughing. Mick, they were all like, they're like, they never, like, he was like a little kid. Like literally a little kid, because he was actually in a pleasant mood. Because I woke him up. He's like, you need to marry my son. I said, I don't need to marry anybody. Oh no, you would be perfect for my son. I'm like, no, Paul, I am not marrying your son. Because he was hell bent for like 2 years that I was supposed to marry his son.
See that?
Because I put him in his place. We had fun. You know?
Now,
yeah.
I want to ask you this, and it's very, to me, it was a very big thing. I had like one person that I can say that elevated my career, and his signing off, or what you say, not his rub, and his recognizing it and verbalizing it on Facebook added so much. Well, it added to my career all along since we spent these 2 years married to each other. Is there anybody in your past that you could say?
Absolutely.
Who would that be?
I would have not gone down in history had it not been for Wendy Richter.
There you go.
Wendy Richter took a chance on a girl from Mula's school that she really didn't want to deal with, because she felt like anyone from Mula's school was out to get her, like sabotaging her because what Mula did to her. So I had the opportunity to work for NWF, between NWF taking a chance on a Green Hornet, which I was a Green Hornet. If you had a year in, even if you were second generation, you're still green. You know that. You guys know that. Okay. Sure. So they took a chance on me working with her because of the school I came from. And she really was against it. But she's like, well, if she only was down there for a short while, that's not enough to really get, what's that called? Brainwashed. But yet she still was skeptical. Mm-hmm. And if it was not for Wendy Richter, Heidi Lee Morgan, the pro wrestler, would not exist, because she gave me that opportunity. And I genuinely, like, my skill comes from wanting to learn, but it's from, like I said, Judy Leilani, Mula, Donna Crisantelli, Debbie Combs, Peggy Lee Leather, even the girls I train, Rusty the Fox Thomas, phenomenal worker. All these women help make me who I am, because you can't be it by yourself. You do need a personality. You do need charisma. You do need like, some people are very good at working on mics. I sucked at, I can ad-lib, but, some people are just so quick and good on the mic that it's incredible. And that can launch you even further. But if it was not for Wendy Richter and NWF, a.k.a. Mike Dano, DC Drake, Rob Russin, these Rich England, Nate, I forget Nate's last name, but I remember Nate. Had it not been for those men, and they treated me good. I had a good 1.5 year run with them until they separated. And that's the only reason and of course you have to move on. That's the whole purpose in this industry, right? But if it wasn't for Wendy and them, and even Rob Russin, it was because Rob Russin went to AWA. I got the opportunity there because what I displayed to them, And absolutely, by far. Never, any interviews I've done, I've always said, if it wasn't for Wendy letting me jump on her coattail, because that's exactly what it was. She let me jump on her coattail.
And it's so nice for them to get to hear that. So for me, it was Manny Fernandez, who I was a big fan of his. And when you wrestle for 2 years with Manny Fernandez on every indie show on the East Coast, and you're asked and they bring you in for that match, you got to be a tough guy. And I was already had a reputation for being a pretty tough dude, let alone him putting the seal of approval and saying on Facebook, our matches were as tough, if not tougher, than the ones I had with Wahoo, and you're one of the strongest guys. I was like, I can't believe he's saying this. It was the biggest thrill of my life to have that man, because people don't give him enough credit, but he was one crazy tough.
Oh no, he was
God.
really good. Like the circle of people that I knew in the industry always thought that about him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, I can't answer for everybody, but they had the utmost respect.
Lots of
of
respect
ring
for
talent
Manny.
with them.
Yes.
I had to fight my way to at least the first couple matches, and he kept seeing if I was going to fire back, and if my fire back was less than his, he beat me up more. So
Right.
I just had to go at it and came out of there banged up. The kids were deathly afraid. I was late one day. Everybody was worried who they're going to put with Manny. They were afraid to work with him. You know why? If you stuck, just like before the story you told, they stuck somebody in a ring and he didn't recognize that he didn't belong to be there and verbalize it to the opponent, he's
Right.
going to make you fight for your life and make
Right.
you think twice about whether you want to continue to do this. If
Right.
you're in my ring and I have to work with you, you better have what it takes. Or you
Yeah.
got to preface it first and say, I don't know shit.
Right.
Just tell me what to do.
Right.
Heidi,
Right. And that's
let me-
it. And you know what, Tommy? That was the approach I took with some of the women like Joyce Grable and Susan Green, because and Debbie Combs, I'm like, they could hand you your ass and think nothing of it, like just with a blink of the eye.
Yeah.
So I would literally ask, do you mind, like after we wrestle, tell me what I did wrong. I can't get better if you don't tell me, you know?
Exactly.
And that's what Wendy did with me. I mean, every match, there would be something. She's like, try doing this next time. Don't overdo that. Don't do, you know, I mean, it's dancing, you know, I mean, yeah, you're going to get hit. Yeah. There's going to be flub ups. Yeah. You do. I get bruised up. But you know what? It was just, that's what makes you a better worker.
Yeah.
In general.
Exactly.
And you
I have
be
to say
open for
that I agree with you on the Wendy Richter thing, because actually when I started wrestling, I worked for Mike Dano as well, and I did a program with Wendy Richter in Canada for quite a few years. And I probably learned more wrestling from her just by wrestling her than I did
Yes.
from any other trainer.
In
It's
school,
any trainer
right?
that
And
I
in
had.
school.
Yeah, she was
Absolutely.
like,
I agree
constant
100% with
professional.
that.
Right, just
You know, so
really,
here she was a teacher and didn't even realize it.
Yeah.
right,
They're the best
right.
kind.
You know?
Now, the biggest thing I learned from Manny was when I kept trying to get him to talk about what we were going to do and kept ignoring his cues, he goes, I'll tell you what, you go over there, I'll go over here. 10 minutes from now, get the referee, we'll tell him to finish, and then I will see you out there. And I kept trying. Well, what about stay over there? And now
The old
today,
WWC method of like, you stay in the other locker room and I'll stay in the other one. We'll meet in the ring and call the whole thing, and that's the way. And Wendy Richter was of that mindset of Carlos Colon kind of the Puerto Rico working. We'll meet you in there, and then you'll know what's coming.
it becomes
Right,
so used
right.
to choreographing the whole thing. So it's either that and try to stick to it, or grab a headlock, pull the guy's head up and go 2 tackles, drop down. I mean, what is that? We used to, 2 tackles, drop down. You know, we try to like not even make our mouths move and try to do it where you couldn't see it, where you're growling in between growls. So they don't hear you. You can't 2 tackles, drop down, leapfrog, hip toss. You know, why are we just letting people know that, you know, the magicians aren't telling you how to do the tricks. So why are we offering this?
Right.
Last one. I don't want to take any more time. I learned something from Davey O'Hanlon.
That's okay.
I'm in the locker room. I was one of the first few matches. Here comes Davey, brand new K&H singlet, all bright with shamrocks and blood all over him. He comes in the locker room and starts screaming, "That son of a bitch!" I'm thinking, wow, who did he work with? Something went wrong. I said, what happened? He goes, slow piston on the door. I said, what? The door to the locker room closed very slowly. So he had to come in and scream and holler like he was still in gimmick till he got to the end of the hallway and the door closed. Why? How many times have you seen somebody getting carried out? We've done it, but not in where people could see. Somebody's holding the door open, and you see the guy, as soon as he gets in the locker room hallway threshold, he stands up. And he goes, how was it? You just blew everything because you didn't wait till the door closed. They see you go one step, you can't move, and the next minute you're up.
You're popping up like Superman.
Yeah.
Slow closing piston.
Yeah.
Stay in character.
Yeah.
Until the door closes.
Until it's done.
This is great that you brought this up, because as I brought up Superman, I tried to pull this up a few times, and I got this great picture of you as Wonder Woman.
Yes.
And this brings me into my next question is, you look so fantastic here. Your gimmicks that you've had throughout your career, what would you say was probably your most favorite persona to take on, and your favorite gimmick to, and you know, your whole thing? This is great.
Yeah, so okay, I love Wonder Woman because Wonder Woman is very fierce. And we touched on this a little bit.
Yes.
So again, I forget her name. What's the psycho one?
Who, the actor?
No, the Joker's.
Harley Quinn.
Yeah, Harley Quinn.
Yes.
All right, so everybody wants to be Harley Quinn because she looks sexy and she's psycho and she's this and she's that. Well, let's take a look at Superwoman or Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman has it all. Wonder Woman is fierce. She doesn't take shit, but she loves. What is the greatest power in the world? It's love. It's not hate. Okay, so to allow yourself to be emotionally or mentally beat down by the world is not the answer. So this was after I signed my divorce papers. I was legally divorced on the 23rd of that month. And at the end of that month in 2018, I was invited to a cancer Halloween party that I attend every year. It's a fundraiser. And I thought, you know what? If anything, Wonder Woman, and I even have Wonder Woman wrapping paper, and that's what I give my members and clients and people that I work with, or people that are clients of mine for training at the holidays. I wrap it up in Wonder Woman because Wonder Woman is fierce. You can be a tough woman and still have love. You can still love. It doesn't mean, because you defend yourself, you don't love. So if you're going to choose the why in the road, don't chase the psycho, because that's not the answer. Everybody thinks that is, that's not, like, what is cool about not loving yourself? There's nothing cool about that at all. There's nothing wonderful about that at all. We need to love ourselves and embrace it. Now, going on to outfits for my wrestling. When I first started, obviously, Tommy, I'm going to go back to you. You did bodybuilding. You know what the bodybuilding outfits were. Very, very little. We didn't look at it as sexy or pornography. We looked at it as a sport. You had to wear this so you could see all the muscles. So when I went to Mula's school, Mula went with me to pick out my first wrestling outfit. And I forgot to send you guys that one. Shoot, I wish I did.
Where would that be?
Anyhow, it was white with these very, very pale pink. But you couldn't tell they were pale pink because they looked so pale. It kind of blended in with the white. But it was a high-rise one-piece bathing suit. And Mola told me that I had to put elastic in the legs. And I looked at her and I said, no, that is not happening. And she says, well, hon, if you want to wrestle for me. I said, no. Did you see my bodybuilding pictures, Mola? Well, yeah, you can't dress like that in the ring. I said, I understand that, but I'm not putting elastic in my legs either. Well, we got to compromise. I said, well, how about if I wear, and I'm looking because we're in the store. I said, how about I buy these cute little tights that were stockings, but they were flowered stockings, so you couldn't really see your skin, and they were really cute. And she says, well, yeah, that would work as long as your legs are covered. And I said, you got it. She says, and we don't want your privates popping out. That's why the girls wear elastic. So I said, fine. So out of respect, I didn't cut up my outfits yet. I wore them high. But then when I came home from Mula's school, and I was training at Johnny Rod's, I had the opportunity to go to Greenwich Village, New York, which was a really cool experience, right? Yes. Here I am, 20, the first time going to New York City to get my athletic license for the sport, because you had to go in person back then. I don't know if you still have to or today, but you had to go there, pay them in a cashier's check, go to the doctor's office,
get your
get
EKG,
evaluated, yada, right?
Is that Larry Hazard?
Yeah, and you didn't have to worry.
You still have to do it on Broadway?
you didn't have that horny old woman that used to like attack us almost.
We had the female doctor. Always
Yeah,
the
she was
female
Hispanic.
doctor.
Oh, she didn't leave you
Yeah.
alone. She was tough on the guys, just like women went through. We went through that in her office.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, you're getting big
so
now.
so she was the one who took care of us. So that day when we were done getting our license, we went to Greenwich Village, and I found this really cool black G-string with the blue, and that's the outfit that I was known for to wrestle Wendy, where it had these really cool cheetah spots that were black and pink
I'm looking
on
for
the
it.
blue, and then the black, and then I found, because that was spandex time, okay? So I found the blue spandex, and well, that was at the end of my career. Yeah, that was
like
closer to the end. No, that's
girl?
my farmer's girl.
Country
It was one
girl,
of the
yeah.
pictures that I was with Wendy Richter back in the beginning of my. I don't think I have that on. I don't think I sent that in. I'm gonna have to find that and send it to you guys. But anyhow, it was in all the magazines with Wendy. It was one of my favorite outfits, and that started the talk on. Oh my God, she's dressing so provocative. I'm like, my butt is covered. Like, what is wrong with y'all? They're literally leggings. I was wearing now they're called leggings, but back then they were spandex. I'm like, they're leggings under the one-piece bathing suit. Then that year I brought in from that to, I always like my abs. I don't think there's anything wrong with wanting to show my abs.
No.
So I found a couple
Especially when they're so beautiful and you work so hard on them.
Listen, you should be in one of my core classes at Planet. I kill them. So this week was 1,000 rep week in every class. And I'm like, what was I thinking? Wow. But anyhow, I got some more cute outfits, but then I started cutting out the holes in my stomach because I started making alternations, and my mom was a good seamstress, so she would touch them up. Then I found a seamstress in PA who made outfits for strippers, and
because you couldn't get your stuff from K&H. They made that old lady stuff.
No, everything was traditional. And I didn't want to be. I was a trailblazer for the women back then. I was very risque. Me and Medusa were very, very risque because we showed skin, and that was against the norm.
Animal prints and skin. That's you girls like opened it up for a different way
for
to
the whole
dress
generation.
Right, it wasn't
so
those low cut bathing suits that they all wore in the Mildred Burke era. It's a little bit more
that are not flattering at all.
No,
not WWE outfit.
Yes.
Yeah, that was one. Yeah, that was made from the seamstress. So that seamstress, I started working with her in 1988, and I could literally, I would like draw it on a piece of paper. She would send me the swabs. Never even saw the woman in person, and she would make it exactly how I wanted. Never even saw her in person.
That was all the neon.
Every outfit was perfect.
When all the neon was in.
Oh, yeah. I mean, she made me some very beautiful costumes. Costumes. Yeah.
So I'm on your Facebook here, actually. So.
Oh, yeah, that was when. So some of those pictures, we ran boot camps when I was married. And that was Missy Sampson. She came and visited me the one day at Planet Fitness, which was a beauty. So this picture here with me, that's my beautiful Bella that I gave up the sport for, who is now 26. Beautiful. Yep, that's my baby.
Beautiful.
Girl. Yep, I was 30 years old right there. Yep.
Wow.
And trying to see.
Oh,
okay, that's Wendy and Mula.
Right. All right. What's this here? Let's see. What is Glow? Good old Glow.
Yeah, I don't know, but like I was not in that. Like I never.
Yeah, I don't see you in there.
I don't know why that even. Yep. So that was another outfit she made me.
Here's a cute one.
Seamstress. Yeah. Yep. That was the one. That's so I designed them. And then this was another one I got from the black and white one. Where I had the white spandex. I got that in Greenwich Village too, but I did make a couple alternations to it.
Yeah, I
My,
actually
yeah.
had one
So
made like that because of this outfit. I had a two-piece made like that because of you, actually. So I
well, so
love.
here's one for you. So let me see.
Oh, here's
The
the picture that I love. Here's the
Yes, I
one.
love this picture. Yes, we
That's the one.
became, yes, we were champions, like a tri-championship, which was really cool. So here, I did work against Candy before. I did work against Wendy. Now here we are, my idols. I get to be partners with, which was pretty cool. You
Awesome.
know, well,
And
Wendy
those
at
are some
times,
of the
but like
tights you cut out the stomach hole in, I could see.
now this one here was made by the professional lady.
Oh,
This one
okay.
was made
Great.
by Lori in Pennsylvania.
Awesome.
So in 1988 is when, yeah. So that was basically the format. And, a lot of the young ladies now follow suit. So someone had made a comment, oh, what do you think of their uniforms? I said, what's wrong with their uniforms? Like their outfits, like it's the sport, that's when I did a bodybuilding exhibition for Johnny Rods leading up to a match I had against Donna Adama.
Beautiful.
Yeah, which her name was Electra.
I'll be right back.
Yes.
Okay, that was when I first started. We took a picture of me and all my trophies. When we went up to Vince, I was 19 to show him that, I had won bodybuilding pictures and I would be posing with Paul Orndorff. And that's when he asked me, did I want to wrestle?
Gorgeous.
Because the lifting, I started with powerlifting through my dad and fell in love with it. And then he got me a trainer, and that was for WWE.
Now, this is Bull Nakano's sports card. Is that her trading card, right?
Yes. Yeah, I think WWE made them.
Yes. What
that
an
was
honor.
A WWE card. Yeah.
To be put on the sports card there with
Yeah.
with her.
Even though I wasn't, they show a lot of stuff of me getting beat up, but this was Wendy, Richard, and I. This was my very first autograph session I did after being retired from the sport. And to come back and the women actually, like Wendy fell in love with my daughter. My daughter at the time was, I think, 10. And Wendy's like, oh my God, she's just too cute. That was a personal appearance I made like a year later. This was a talk show that my daughter and my ex and I went on because I'm like, can we have my family on there? Yeah. Because they're hams too, so it was a lot of fun. A Totally Damaged show. What's this? Oh, this is my wrestling ring. Oh my God, this is Mike Houghton.
This one here.
La la. Oh my God!
Oh wow! What year was this? That's Mr. La
La is very good friends with my family. Very good friend.
I was just with him not too long ago.
Yeah, he's God.
Still at it.
My mom and dad love my sister and my brother-in-law. Very good friends with him. Absolutely.
Oh, here's some great shots.
Yeah. Nikolai. These were all custom outfits that I'm wearing. So there's me. Is that Wendy or is that Jen?
That is Wendy.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that's when I was getting. And then Nikolai Volkov. Him and I tagged up that night because I was a heel, and that's why we were in the ring together. But he was like my dad on the road. Oh, scroll back down. Where Damien Kane is. That's the outfit I'm talking about that made my name with NWF.
Oh, yes.
That one. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, I remember that one.
Yep. I love that one. Yep.
Yes. Yep. Awesome. I always like big mark for animal print. So anything that, what's this here? Oh.
Look at this one. How busy this one is.
That was, oh my God. I was so tired. That was at the end of we already wrestled. That was for NWA. That was for NWA. I was so tired.
And here's a great one right here, Judy Martin.
Nice.
Yep. Yeah,
That's
I
nice
did the victory roll on her.
Yeah, great.
Yeah, that was another one that was custom made. Yep.
Love this picture.
Yeah.
Love it.
That's my custom suits.
Nice.
Yeah, somebody, so I think the young ladies dress very fashionable now. I have no, I think they look cute. So it's like, it's no big deal to me,
Too many of them don't wear actual boots and they're going to wind up getting hurt.
Well, so I'm a fanatic even when I'm training. So today we did the bungee class. Last week I went, had a great time. posted it and asked people if they wanted to join. So we had a private session, and you have the option of no shoes or wearing your sneakers. And I'm just so used to that's me and Brittany Brown.
Oh,
So that was
Brittany.
basically at the end of my career. Yeah, that was at the end of my career.
Gotta
Like
love
right
Brittany.
before I was done. Yeah, I think that was, I don't know who that one is.
So, how exactly, when was your last match, and how exactly, well, you came back after your baby. So what year did you come back after?
Okay, so I
When
had my
did it
baby girl September 17th of 95. And I started working out right away again, because I had that phobia that my mom always said, don't eat over it, don't smoke over it. And then we had the ring, so that's when Amy Lee started coming around, and I started working with her because Artie asked me to roll with her to help him out, and I said sure, and I did, because he's always been very, very good to me. And
was Amy there?
So yep, Amy Lee. And,
did you still have that
started
little low
rolling with
ring?
her, and then Alpha, and I was getting, okay, so this is what happened. So I did a lot of shows for Alpha and Sika Samoan, the Samoans, and he had contacted me, and he says, I don't know, are you still, I heard through the grapevine that you want to get polished back up because you might have an opportunity to go back to WWE, because I left on a good note. And I said, I am. I said, I just don't know if it's in the cards. And he says, well, do you have anything lined up? And I said, well, honestly, no, I really don't have anything lined up. And he says, well, how about we get you started again? And I said, okay. And he says, but I don't want, instead of you bringing, because, I would recommend this one or that one. He says, I have a girl here that I would, if you could break her in for me. And her name was Kathy. And I said,
Kathy Walsh.
Yeah. So I said, sure. So I said, sure. It was December 21st of 1997, Hazleton, PA. So my dad very rarely, he went to a couple of shows. My dad had his share of shows that he went. And that was the first year to start, make a precedence over don't touch my baby, and to make sure that I was comfortable. And then he let me fly. And, but then after that was it. Right. So now, I'm married. I've got a brand new 2-year-old. She just turned 2 in September, going on her second Christmas. My husband at the time just became a correctional officer for the DOC. We didn't like leaving anybody with our daughter, so we didn't really want her around it because we didn't know how long the night was going to be. So we agreed that he would stay home with her, and Artie and my dad, Artie, my shoot partner, would go with me and my dad. And so it's like, okay, well, I had practiced some of the maneuvers on my husband in front of Artie in the ring to make sure, because Archie was pretty good. Archie has a little bit of knowledge of shoot wrestling. So my ex was really good on where, I could use him as a guinea pig to do crap. And Artie would set us up and then articulate here, and then go through it so I could do it. So, I practiced a couple things that I wanted to do on her. I get up there. Like you said, Tommy, go over a couple things, whatever. Well, it was her very first match. And it doesn't matter if there's 100 people or a million people. Some people get stage fright, literally stage fright. And that's exactly what happens. So we get in the ring. She goes out first. I come out. So, doing our thing. We go to lock up. She backs me in the corner, gives me a chop to establish she's the heel, and shoots me into the turnbuckle. So I go into the turnbuckle. I jump up, and she comes running in. And to charge. As she's running in to charge me, I jumped up at the last minute and I sit on her back. Now I did this move with Bull Nakano on USA TV when I was with WWE. And then what I do is after I sit on one's back, their head's facing the turnbuckle, my body's facing the turnbuckle. I do a back bend because I was a gymnast. I did a back bend. I was going to do a back bend. Let me reiterate that.
Right.
And do a back bend. My head comes in between her legs, and it's a beautiful roll up. And I come up on top in a hold, in a pin. Well, when she came and I sat, you get that premonition, and I felt hesitation. And I'm like, and I'm thinking, no. And I never, ever, ever hesitated in anything in my matches ever. But intuition, I felt it. So I went to lean forward. Then she literally threw herself back. Well, when she threw herself back, I was sitting on her back normal, right? I didn't do the back bend yet. I'm sitting on her back normal. So my legs were hooked around her. So when she came back, her 185 pounds weight on my 127 pound weight, my legs were trapped, and I literally folded up like a chair. She came up on me, and I literally heard my back go, but it didn't like hurt at that point. It just felt like an adjustment. I think you two can understand that.
Right.
And because my legs were trapped and I couldn't unlock them, it's like they were glued literally around her waist. She came up over me, and now I come up on her, and now I feel like, oh my God, I can't breathe. So I roll out of the ring. When I rolled out of the ring, I'm like, I'm thinking to myself, holy shit, I can't move. Like, I literally can't move. Like, I felt it. Like, I could not move. I'm like, so the ref comes. So now they're concerned because I have never done that. Like, you work at things, whatever. And the ref's like, oh my God, he comes out. I said, I can't move. Like, I can barely breathe. Because I thought I knocked the wind out of myself or broke a rib, or I'm not thinking it was my back. So now the ambulance is called and comes. The match is done. And I had to sign a waiver because they're like, we have to take you. Like, if you can't move. Like, my dad and Artie literally carried me to Artie's truck because we took Artie's truck. And I said, no, I'm not going. I got a baby at home. If I go there, they're going to keep me. I'm not staying. I am not staying 2 hours away. Christmas is around the corner. I'm not doing it. I'm going home. So I had to sign a waiver. Art Palmer had me in Spear Hospital here in Vineland in exactly 85 minutes. And it was a 2.5 hour drive. He broke every record there was. My dad had a tramadol, which is just like Tylenol with a little bit of codeine on him because he has a bad back. And he's like, it's not much, but you got to take this. And like literally they hoisted me up and put me in the car, and I laid on my side like this and didn't move. Get to the hospital. Now we call Archie because at that time the phones were still plugged in the boxes in your car. So this is how long ago it is. So cell phones came in a box, zippered, that you kept plugged in the phone. My dad calls Archie and says, Heidi hurt herself in the match. We think her back is broken. And Archie's like, because we play jokes on each other all the time. Because, we don't know when to stop. And Archie's like, yeah, okay, Les. And he's like, no, I'm serious. He says, well, put Heidi on. And he says, what did you do? And he's laughing. He says, what did you do? And I said, Arch, I think I broke my back. And he's like, stop playing around, Heidi. There's no way you. I said, Arch, literally, I had to holler. I said, I'm not effing playing. I'm serious. And now he realizes, right, that holy shit, like she's serious. He's like, what in the hell went wrong? He's like, it was an easy move. And I said, she freaked out in front of 200 people. Like 200 people. He's like, 200 people? Like she lost it in front of. I said, she's new. Like not everybody can handle being in front of an audience. So I really don't blame her. She was scared. Like it wasn't intentional. That's why it's called an accident. Get to the hospital. He's there waiting for us. They literally were going to bring him up on charges because my dad. Now you got to understand what my dad looks like, Angel, and spectators out there listening to this. Dad and Art, my sparring partner. You got to figure this was 20. 5 years ago. This was literally 25 years ago. So they were in better health condition than what they are now. And they're men's men. So they're very intimidating looking.
Right.
So here are, and my dad are literally carrying me into the hospital room. I mean, into the ER. My husband is waiting there. It looks like he did something to me.
Right.
They literally were going to bring him up on charges
Domestic
of
violence.
assault.
They always assume that.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly. And he's a new officer, right? He's a new CO. He's
Wow.
got 8 months in. I told them, because I was afraid if I told them that I broke my back from the wrestling, our insurance wouldn't pay for it. So
Right.
when they asked me what happened, I said, well, I'm a lifter. I lifted wrong. My back caved and I collapsed. They're like, okay, well, the MRIs and everything's like, no, that story doesn't match up, because my guts were like, my stomach was all jacked up. I was all like all internal bruises. Like I got the shit beat out of me.
Everything was
My
compressed.
vertebrae, I broke 3 vertebrae, and I was fortunate that I didn't become paralyzed, because it was lower T and L, how they broke, T3, 4, and 5. They broke outward in a perfect L shape.
Instead
Had
of
it
the
broken inward, I
spinal
would have been
column.
paralyzed.
Yeah, you would have been paralyzed, right?
So I was very, very lucky. So the head doctor came in, and he was an orthopedic, and he says, okay, I'm going to ask you one last time. Everything we've done tests on, the CAT scans, the ultrasounds, the MRIs, your story does not match. So now either you tell us the truth, or we will call the police. And I said,
Yeah,
why do
you
you
can
need
tell.
to call the police?
Oh, because
I'm
they
like,
thought-
why do, like, I'm not understanding. I'm like, why do you need to call the police? Like, I'm thinking now I'm going to go to jail because I said it was because of the lifting. And he
Right.
says, if your husband is beating you, he says, it looks like you have been beat to death, and we will press charges. So now my jaw drops in my heart. Like, I'm like, no, like he doesn't, like, he was a good man at that point in time still. And I'm like, oh my God, he would never hit me. And he says, well, there's no way you did that lifting weights. Now you need to come clean. And I started crying, and I told him, he says, oh, you're a wrestler? He said, yeah. And he says, well, I said, well, I don't think the insurance is going to pay for it. He says, it's your husband's insurance. They have to take it. Don't worry about it. But I mean, that's how, yeah. So that's how I broke my back.
Oh,
And after
That's
that,
scary.
that was it. I'm like, this is God's way of telling me, no, you always wanted a little girl. I was given a Y in the road January of 1995 of doing the Royal Rumble, or with knowing I was pregnant. I know I was pregnant,
Yeah, you can't.
or graciously step back and go on that route. Like, instead of going left, I went right,
right.
being pregnant. So all this was flashing through my head, and I'm like, I waited so long to have a baby, especially a girl. I always wanted a girl since I was 18. And that looked just like my daughter, by the way. I'm like, if I'm not married, by the time I'm 30, I'm going to find a good-looking Italian dude with greenish white eyes, with curly hair, so I can have my curly hair little green-eyed girl.
Right.
And I got her.
And Tommy's
I know,
free
Tom,
to
I
himself.
know.
Like, oh, you missed the boat over here.
I should have quit the business
See
earlier.
how you planted the seed and didn't even know it?
Yeah. I should have
Oh,
quit
boy.
earlier.
Yeah.
So-
Yeah.
But you know, here's the thing. You made the right turn. See,
I did.
I necessarily didn't soon enough, and I am pretty much crippled at this point. So I have all these things that I had done, but I'm no better. So,
Yeah.
you know, if I'd have got out a little earlier, maybe I wouldn't be like this. You know, I don't know.
Well, but you know what, Tom? I mean, I've had a lot of surgeries since then too. So
Yeah.
7 years after I broke my back, I had to have major surgery. So I have two artificial discs in, a
That's
fusion,
right.
that through God, the grace of God again was successful. But I listened to the doctors, and the doctors gave me it was Todd Albert over in PA in 2005. And he's like, okay, we're going to give you what I give our football players, because I was a gym teacher at the time for St. Francis. I taught from pre-K to 8th. You know, I made my little life with my husband and daughter, and I I worked around my daughter because it was all about my daughter. And there's nothing wrong with that.
No.
I would do it all over again, because it was the best time in my life. And I made a lot of incredible memories from that no one will ever take back. But I needed to move, and they knew that. So I was fortunate. Instead of giving me a regular fusion, it looks like a spider. So people can't even believe that I had that. Fast forward, I thought I took a layoff. So now you go forward in life. I was with the state of New Jersey for 19 years. In between, because getting a real job for the, bringing home money. I worked with the mentally and physically disabled for the state of New Jersey, 9 years of that. And that, that awarded me certifications on taking clients to the state of New Jersey Special Olympics. I would have never have achieved had I been elsewhere. So it gave me the tools I needed to put me in the place I'm at now in my life. But then I couldn't see that. I was just looking at it. I need a job. I need a secure job so we can afford our life, right? Instead of doing what my purpose in life is. I knew it wasn't wrestling, and you'll forgive me, but I didn't live for wrestling. I always lived for working out. I always lived for challenging my body, anything in that type of industry, right? So I embraced the journey that I was on. I took advantage because of the love I had, and my supervisors at that end of the state saw I had patience galore with them, with the residents that had the mental and physical issues, and how I could work with them. So they educated me on how to work with people with disabilities, on bowling, on track and field, on throwing a ball. And I took 10 to 15 people every year to the Special Olympics for over 9 years. And then you leave that. Then I leave that because they shut us down. They didn't have my lateral position. So during that time, that's boot camps that I run in my house now. I do that. Getting ready to start back in April for that. So, you fast forward with that. I thought I was going to be a correctional officer because, now by this point, my husband had 20 years in. That's our family, the CO dudes, the state worker dudes here. It's your circle. It's your family. It's this, that. Well, I went to the academy at 50 years old, but it was a bad time in my life. I took the layoff. I passed the test. I go to the academy. But that's when I knew that my ex was cheating on me, and the woman he was cheating with was posting shit Monday through Friday when I was in the academy. And I would get in my car on Friday, and literally my female friends had a shitload of pictures that they forwarded me on what she was posting. So it was a very bad psychological game that they both played with me. And what am I going to do? I'm in the academy, not mentally where I need to be. The first time in my life, and I'm going to share this, the first time in my life, I had always excelled in sports. Always. I never had to work at it. For the first time in my life, all of a sudden my body's shutting down on me, and I could feel it. And I knew my trainers there. They were sergeants and lieutenants that we broke bread with. And they didn't treat me any different because they weren't allowed to. But they would call me at least once a week. They would call me down. D Bart, you good? Yeah, I'm good. They're like, no, you're not. Get that out. Like, we know mentally you can be there. Get whatever's in your head out. I couldn't because I just felt like at that point my life was falling apart. I'm like, I can't fix it. I'm here. He's doing the bad thing there. She's posting it. Something's going on in my body that isn't right. I passed out on the friggin' academy way. I thought I had food poisoning. Here, I had internal bleeding that I didn't know about. I thought because my nerves were shot. I was down to 119 pounds. I looked like hell worn over. I was cut like shit. Like, I looked good cut-wise. My muscles were popping. But my eyes, healthy-wise, my hemoglobins were down to a 4.8 when I passed out on the academy way. And I just, again, thought it was food poisoning. Well, here, they winded up hospitalizing me. So the rest of that week in boot camp, I was up at Seagirt Hospital. 3 blood transfusions, 3 iron transfusions, and then they let me out. They got my hemoglobins from the 4 point whatever up to 9, and they were going to recycle me at that point. I said no, and I cried. I said to Major Mainstream, please do not recycle me. I need to get through this. I need to get through the academy by hook or by crook. And I need to finish this. I need to get back into my pension so I can have my life, because I just thought that was the answer to fix my marriage. It wasn't. If one checks out in the marriage, you can't save it. There's no saving it.
Right.
But I'm still thinking I could. So he's like, okay. So I winded up utilizing I winded up utilizing 7 of my 10 excuses for PT because of the hospital. I came out of the hospital with my hemoglobins at 9, and they should be out of 14, like a normal. I mean, 11 is good, but 9 is where I was at. And what did we go right into? Defensive tactic. I came right out of the hospital into defensive tactic. And you want to talk about humiliating? Okay, so my background was wrestling, right? Although we're entertainment wrestling, you guys know this, we also know how to shoot to protect ourselves. Right. They teach you the right way. They teach you the wrong way. You know it. I know that. It comes from Roman Greco. So we have that knowledge. So it was the first day, and then they have the circle up where they tag like the same size, you and the other person, your partner, same size, where you have to literally fight each other and hit the buzzer, right? One mounts, the one person gets on top and mounts, then the other person has to get up and out, right? Mm-hmm. So me and Brown were the ones. I got on top of her first, and she couldn't get out, but I gave it to her. And even the sergeant said, she's giving it to you, Brown. Shrimp. You know, she didn't know what shrimp was. So finally she realized, because they're saying, tuck your leg and turn. And then she realized she did. And she hit the buzzer, right? So now it's my turn. Now the sergeant and lieutenant and the major Mainstream says, D-Bar, don't do it. We want you to take a rest. We know you just got out. I said, no, I can handle it. They're like, no, you're breathing heavy. That's part of the Dewey. Oh, I had a Dewey ulcer also. So the Dewey ulcer makes you feel like you're having a heart attack, right? And they're like, just take a break. Let's do 3 people. Then you and her can come back to it. But my pride got the best of me. I'm like, no. And I just wanted to get it done. I'm like, no, let me just get it done. So now she has to mount me and I have to get out of it. Well, when she went to go sit on me, she literally sat on my friggin' stomach and knocked the wind out of me. And Major said something. He's like, Brown. And she's like, oh, I'm so sorry. Well, by that time, it was too late. So now we started. And I had no air or energy. Like, I just felt like my whole life was taken out of me. I couldn't even shrimp. You want to talk about embarrassing and how, so here's the moral of the story. God dropped me to my knees and took everything away from me. I was humiliated. There was a group of new trainers that were becoming sergeants. I knew every last friggin' one of them because they trained at the same gym. I'm known in my area of being a guru and basically a fitness addict. So for me, not to be able to get my body up and out to tag the bell was humiliating. And finally they're like, that's it. Okay, come on. We told you. And they said, they started hollering, we told you to stop. And I just got up and kind of like what Lisa Moretti did. I just took a deep breath in and I walked away from the class and just went to the gymnasium doors looking out, and you could see the water. And I'm just looking out, looking at the water. and my eyes just filled up. And I remember trainer Fork, she was a female, she came over to me and she's like, Deborah, and I just started crying. I said, I have never failed in my life ever in fitness. Like, I have, like, literally at this point in time, I literally hit rock bottom. I hit rock bottom. So fast forward, make it through. I mean, I made it through. I still made it through. Like, I just failed that task that day. So we're still went through the sparring, still practiced in the punching, the guns, the knives, the rolling, the shrimping, all the way down and all the way back. And the major and the lieutenants and sergeants are like, D-Bar, what the hell? Like, you're like, and they would say, like, she's dying and she's doing this. Well, I'm thinking, I already hit rock bottom. I already mortified myself. There's nowhere else to go. So either
Show your
I'm
fortitude.
gonna try with whatever air's left in me or not.
Mhm.
The last day that week was a Friday. We had to do cell extractions. We all had to suit up and we had to change positions. So it was our third position. I was the last person at that position. The other two, I was up in front. So I'm in the last position. We go to attack the inmate. My foot got stuck, but my helmet went flying off. The one trainer that was there, they all knew my health issue. They're like, effing D-Bar, get your helmet on. I'm like, sir, I can't move. Like, my foot was stuck under the inmate and two of my team members. And he's like, D-Bar, you got enough head issues going on. We don't need any more bullshit. And I'm like, okay. I go to stretch to get my helmet. I hear a pop. The two people that were on my foot heard the pop. The officer who was playing the inmate, because he was an officer, he heard it pop. And we came out of it, and he looked at me and he says, I bet you popped your ankle. I said, it wasn't my ankle. It's like where my toes are. I broke my cuboid bone. 10 weeks into the academy, after passing out, after being humiliated, passing out on the PT field doing jumping jacks. We were doing jumping jacks, and all of a sudden I just felt like my eyes just like dizzy, and I did a spiral head down into the floor. And a gentleman who was friends of ours, trainer Nick, he's like, oh no, you're not dying on our field, D-Bar, get your ass up. And they carried me in, and then they took me to the hospital. And anyhow, I'm thinking to myself, all of that just to break my foot. So I was recycled. I had to leave because there was no way I would finish out the 6 weeks. There was too many, I burned too many days. I would have been 6 days shy of PT anyhow, which would have failed me. So instead of failing me, they recycled me. But when I came home from that, which was around May 5th of 2016, May 6th of 2016, it was Mother's Day weekend that weekend. And I thought, this is a shitty way to have to spend Mother's Day. Knowing he's cheating on me, knowing this happened, I just spent 2 weeks of
When it
hell.
rains, it pours, boy.
Oh, it does. Absolutely. Well,
Wow.
Guess what? That's when I found out about my shoulders, Tom. We were doing 1,500 push-ups a day. That Sunday, I rolled over in my bed, and I just screamed. And my ex at the time, he's like, well, Jesus Christ, what the hell is it now? Everything's falling apart on you. Here, I ripped both of my shoulder blades off. Like, both of them were ripped.
What?
So
Wow.
not only did I break my cuboid bone, now I go and find out these are ripped. Had major surgery, left in July of 2016. 2 weeks later, and still had the harness here. This one gets operated on. Now I have 2 harnesses on me. And then my mom goes in the hospital and then proceeds to die on me. And then it was just like one thing. Listen, when poop hits, it hits. You have a choice. You have a choice to say, oh, woe is me, feel sorry for me. And believe me, I did. I hit rock bottom. I mean, I didn't hit rock bottom until 2018, after I kicked him out in 2017. But just everything that could go wrong did go wrong. But you have a choice to make something out of it. And so when I came out of that, the opportunity again came back to my certified nurse's aide job for the state of New Jersey, which is what I did before. Now my position did come up. So see how God is? So even though I went through this journey, this one chapter of my life that was very horrific, it built me up to be a better person and to know where my worth is and what my value is and what I'm supposed to do with my life. And I go, and now I took, so for 3 years to get my 19 years in with the state, I finished up working at the veterans home, taking care of our veterans. And that's when I went through the divorce. Yeah, I went through the divorce. Then Planet Fitness was driving me nuts because I said to God, you know what? If I'm supposed to train people, you humbled me. I just really do feel like it's my ordained gift, God. If it is meant to be, someone out there is going to ask me to come work for them. I'm not going to put in any feelers. I got a job with the state. I'm back there. I'll just stay in my lane and do what I'm doing, and plan it for 7 months, because I've been a member there for 5 years. But for 7 months, they kept on saying, why don't you come work for us? Why? I said, well, you only hire full time. And finally I said, I'm not coming to work for you because I need my real job that's paying my benefits and my health care because I'm newly divorced. And I said, and you only take full time. And they're like, well, we'll take you Monday through Friday. I said, yeah, but I can't give you full time. I've got a full-time job. And they're like, well, what can you give us? And I said, well, I can give you from 4 to 8 Monday through Friday. Deal. Well, that was one of the best things I did, to the point that I left the state of New Jersey with a leap of faith, because they offered me a full-time position, paying my health care, matching what the state did, doing what I love. And I work Monday through Friday.
That's great.
And now I'm a manager. I still train people because they don't want to pull me off of the floor, because I train literally a month. If you look at my stats, because Planet does everything by stats, I train over 1,200 people a month in my 8-hour shift.
That's a lot.
Yeah. And so that proves to them is that the members are utilizing their amenity, because this is amenity. They don't pay extra for us trainers. I am an educator because I deal with a lot of people that have serious health issues. I'm not there to train that 1% that wants to compete, because that's not going to pay for Planet's bills. I'm there to take care of all. And I have all from 18-year-old kids up to 85, 90-year-old people. And so I just was promoted to be a trainer of trainers. And so now I went to PA to train 2 trainers for them. So they'll pull me out periodically. So this is what God does. So I'm back doing what I'm ordained to do. But if I'm asked to do wrestling, like I'm being inducted.
Yes, which brings me to actually the next set of photos I have. Okay, so this is a match that you recently refereed for ISPW in New Jersey for Tommy Fierro.
Yes.
And they are inducting you into the Hall of Fame. And
we're following each other's path. Is almost the same. Bodybuilding, this, that. Now I got inducted not too long ago. Now you're getting inducted. It's crazy.
But you know what? You know why, Tom? Because I just think that you paved a way that people appreciate. You know, there's a time and season for all of us. You know, there's just a time and season, and your season, you know, it's really ironic. It's just really ironic. And then, Angel, you're going to see it too. Your season's going to be coming too. Don't think it's not, you know, it's just, but everybody has a different season. That's just what it boils down to, you know, and it's very humbling. And I'm very honored. That was the first time I stepped in the ring actually working, like literally working, that was Labor Day weekend. I was very honored to be part of that. It was their first women's championship match, being dubbed a champion. So
who better to
go down in history, the 3 of us. I didn't do the work. They did the work. The young ladies worked phenomenal. I mean, just very, very, I almost was like a mark in the ring. I'm like, oh my God, that was so pretty. Yeah.
You're right.
They really did an awesome job, but it was fun. It was a fun ride. And, when Tom had hit me up to tell me that they would like to induct me, would I be willing to accept it? I was honored. I'm like, oh my God, yes, yes. I'll, when is it? It's Mother's Day weekend,
Of course.
That's
but
exactly how I felt.
it's okay.
Now, who's
My
being
daughter's
inducted
gonna
with
come,
you?
because I asked her. But I'm very honored. I'm just very humbled. So when people say stuff, I'm like, oh yeah, that's what I did. They're like, no, like you're in this, you just don't realize the impact. I'm like, yeah, I did that, and they're like. I even like some of my gym members are like, you wrestled? I'm like, uh-huh. And then I started talking about something else and they're like, no, you really wrestled. I'm like, yes, I really wrestled. I said, but mind you, I was 27. I'm 55 now.
Just
But
the
what makes the
fact
difference is
that
I'm
you're
sorry.
so modest makes you so much
Yeah.
more of a likable character.
Well, that's what it
Because
is.
you
Even
have
my
no
boss would
idea
say
how
that.
many people you've influenced and what a big role model you've been throughout the years for women in professional wrestling.
Well, Angel, it's just like I said, the only thing I had to offer this sport was integrity. And so integrity, no one can take integrity away from you but you. And it's boundaries that you have to set. And I feel very strongly about that. I've done some stupid stuff in my life, but the bottom line is what makes me happy. And even my best friend, I have one female best friend and one male best friend, many acquaintances, but only one of each. And both of them at different times had said, like, you could be a multimillionaire. You would still live because my house is very comfortable. I got a cute little home, but it's a little Heidi home because I don't need to show off to anybody. What I like doing is I love living. So I will spend money to go hang on a bungee like I did this past weekend and the weekend before to challenge myself, or paddleboarding, or doing this or doing that, or someone needs something and doing that. That's what I get joy out of. I don't get joy I like it's really sad because someone says write down what you want, and I'm like, and they're like, no, like,
Okay.
you want a second home. I'm like, I want to go on vacations. I don't want the headache. Like, I don't want the headache. Like, I'm like, well, what's wrong? I'm thinking, what's wrong with me? I don't want all this material stuff. It doesn't, like, I'm not a jewelry person. I like food. I'm not going to lie. I love to cook. I much rather cook you the food than you cook for me. I'm
Right.
big into cooking. I just love it. And, so it just, to me, it makes me happy doing stuff for people and sharing my gift with people. That's what makes me happy. And, I don't know any other way. And
You
I
did
do
your.
think,
I'm sorry.
no. I mean,
You did.
I really, what was it? It was, I wanted to say something. When I did my first autograph session, second, I'm sorry, not my first. My first one was over in Philly at the Marriott, where the picture of me, Wendy, Medusa, what's her name? Debbie, Deborah, Miss Deborah, the blonde.
McMichael.
Yeah, Michael.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Her. Yeah, I'm sorry. Michael, yes. It is Deborah, right? I was
Yes.
right.
Deborah.
Yeah, okay, all right. So the next one was the WrestleCon that I got to do. And that was a humongous show. And my husband at the time and my daughter came. And that is when the Diva Search came out, right? So the Diva Search came out that year. And Ashley was dubbed the champion. And my daughter at that point in time of her life was big into wrestling. And I'm like, of all people, it's my own child that is really into this, which was really funny. And we got her, some through a couple of connections we had, we got her some tickets to go to Monday Night Raw when they were in Philly and AC. She cried both times because she got to see John Cena 3 rows back. And oh my God, I'm like, oh my God, my daughter's acting like a mark. How embarrassing. But it was fun. We had an awesome time. And anyhow, that's me working at the Veterans Home, where you saw, if you scroll back up.
Yeah.
that tree there, we were dressed up at, yeah. So, yep, that's the Veterans Home.
Cute.
That was, yeah, we had a Christmas party. I was graveyard shift. Nobody ever slept on my shift. And my nurses cried when I left. They're like, who's going to keep our residents nice and clean? Now they're going to have red butts again. They haven't had red butts in 3 years, you know?
Oh, wow.
Oh, who's this?
That was the birthday party I went to in 2018.
Wow.
It was a reptile party for the little guy. My dear friend, she's like a kid sister to me. Her nephew turned 4.
Wow.
That's my baby girl. That's my baby girl right there. Yep, that's my life right there. Yep, that is.
Yeah, you see, when you say character, okay, the reason you are the way you are, and I would like to think I
now scroll back down. Wait.
Yeah.
I want this picture here to be seen. This is my mommy. She is the reason why I take care of myself. She was very, very sick. She lasted a couple months after that picture there.
Oh.
But she was on oxygen. She was a hot mess. And her last week of living, I was very fortunate. Well, maybe that's why I didn't make it through the academy, because God knew I needed to be with my mother that whole month. So I was in the hospital morning, noon, and night with her. And I have no regrets. And yeah, she's
Is that your daughter?
Yes, this is my daughter.
Beautiful.
I'm in the middle of my mom. Yep.
Beautiful.
Gorgeous.
Yeah.
But you know what I wanted to say is that the integrity and the character, you either have it or you don't have it, or you got to work very hard and almost be phony to make believe you have it. Here's the thing. When you do what you did, it was similar to what I did. I'm not comparing, but with so many similarities, it blows my mind. We just went along and possibly never really realized where we were when we were there, because we were looking at the next thing. I'm forward. I never stopped to say, take pictures and I'm great. No, I'm not there yet. I got to keep going. And then what happens is it comes to an end and you either wasted time looking for forward and there's nothing bigger now. You reached it. But it makes you humble, and nobody can ever accuse you of thinking too much of yourself, because in reality, you didn't always think enough of yourself. That's the problem. And that held us back, but it made us work hard. We didn't lay back and say, oh, that was great. I look good. No, let me do it again. You know,
I remember that's Artie Palmer when he was young. He was a Marine.
Oh, right here, Artie.
Yeah, that's Artie. Amy Lee's husband. That's Artie Palmer.
Yes.
Yeah. When I agree with you, Tom. That's when me and my ex ran boot camps, and we trained fighters. We were doing conditioning training with Cage Fury fighters for them.
Wow.
So we had a nice little So did some pretty cool stuff.
Great.
I just think you know what? So we met Ashley at that. Going back to that, we met Ashley at that WrestleCon, and we're waiting in line like everyone else to get this, because my daughter really wanted this picture with Ashley. I was so humbled when we got up there, and I said, excuse me. And the girl Ashley looks at me. She says, oh my freaking God. And she's like, move. And because she had a bodyguard with her, she moved the guy that was with her. She came around. She says, Heidi Lee, you are the reason why I wanted to wrestle. And she put her arms around me. And I'm just like this. And my daughter's like, oh my God, my mommy's the reason why you wanted to wrestle, because my daughter's only 4 foot.
That's great.
And Ashley's like, yes, she's the reason. Your mommy had the cutest outfits. And I'm like, I want to be that. I want to fly off the ring. She says, your mom just looked like a little butterfly coming off the ring. And I looked at Adrian like, huh.
But dynamite comes in small. Dynamite comes in small packages, though.
Oh yeah. Oh, she's feisty. Yeah, she's feisty. She's like, Mom, because my Adriana could put holds on. Like, she used to wrestle around with her dad and put really good shoot arm locks on them and stuff. Nice. But then when she was getting into watching and she thought she wanted to play around a little bit, it wasn't with me. It was with her dad, and he went to do something, and she's like, that hurt. Oh. He's like, yeah, I don't think you better try. She's like,
maybe this is mommy's thing.
I would literally cry if I was in the ring and someone did that to me. Oh. We're like, that's not your feeling, Adriana. Don't do it.
My son shows no interest, The only time he's interested is if somebody else finds out. But
That's okay.
my room that is all done with stuff that's been in albums is all out now on display. He was sitting here the other night, and I see him. Right? So I just started in. I said, okay, starting over there. And I went, and he listened and watched the whole thing. For the first time I ever saw really any interest. I said, and the only reason I'm telling you this is not to brag about myself. It's to prove, take anything else and insert whatever you want to be, whatever, and do the same,
And
do it the similar way. You start, just like you said. Don't get overwhelmed. I got to learn. Learn one. You get that, you move on. Same thing. I wanted to be an Olympic weightlifter. I did that. I went to the Junior Olympics. I want to be a bodybuilder. I want to be a wrestler. And here it is. It's all laid out. This made me, her Angel asking me to do the stream with her, and me taking these out got me out of my depression after 2 months of being sick with COVID. All right. And down
that happened to a lot of people, Tom. The COVID really knocked a lot of people mentally.
It really whammed me with the diabetes. But what I did was each night I finished another section. I sat and I looked at it and I go, holy crap, you're a little bit better than you let yourself believe. Maybe these people are talking about you. Maybe they're right. Maybe you're not miserable and you're not horrible. Yeah. So,
well, I think we can be our worst critics.
Yes.
All of us. I think all of us are our worst critics, unfortunately. But it's nice to be humble. But in closing, with all this, has been absolutely fascinating stories. What are you doing right now, or is there something that you would like to say to fans that you now know you have?
Yeah. So this is my contention. We are all gifted with an ordained gift. All of us. It could be cutting grass. It could be doing hair. It could be painting nails. It could be painting a room. It could be building. It could be hammering. It could be a contractor. It could be electrician. You don't always need the education from the different books and different people I like to follow and listen to, and surround yourself with people that want better in life. And better does not mean dollar bill signs. It doesn't mean my house has to be big. Better means on what are you doing for mankind? Okay, what are you doing for your brother, your sister? Not metaphorically as in your real brother or sister. You might not have any siblings, but mankind in general, just in general. Like, we're all given a gift, and whatever comes easiest for us is the gift. The one thing I always came back to was my lifting. It was just natural for me to educate and teach, and to learn that even though medicine teaches you here's the box and we can't go out of the box, that's not true. You have to believe in yourself enough and take the faith, but don't let the enemy in your head tell you that you're wrong. But it takes work to get there. Nothing is going to be handed to you. You have to work at it step by step by step. So if you're a young individual and you're in high school and mom and dad are saying, and this is, listen, kids out there, college kids, if you're in honor subjects and you got a 4-point average and you're ready to get a free ride, take advantage of that. Okay. I'm not saying throw out an education. What I'm saying is, instead of pissing 4 years away and having to pay back something, what are you passionate about? Write it down. You just writing down, well, I like to color. I like to do this. I like to play with Barbies. There was one lady that when she was in college and she was going for business, she wanted to drop out. She just wanted to drop out. And her mother says, all right, so-and-so, what is it that you want to do with your life? What is it you want to do? She's like, I want to play with Barbie. That's all I want to do, Mom. I want to play with Barbie. And the mother, this was a good answer. The mother turned around and looked at her and said, good. You want to play with Barbie? Go put in an application at Mattel and you can play with Barbie with that.
There you go.
She is the one, I think she's like the CEO now, and tells that story for the Barbie department.
Unreal.
She plays with
Fantastic.
Barbie because that's all she wanted to do.
If that's your goal.
Instead of her mom saying that's stupid, she's like, good, go to work for Mattel. You'll play with Barbie every day.
And she probably started at the bottom and worked their way up and knows how to
And
do
that's all
everything.
you got to do. So write down, if you're not certain, but you do have a foundation, and you know you're not sure. You don't know. We don't all have to be doctors. Not everybody's ordained to be a doctor. Let's get that through your head. Just because you're 4.0 average, you're not ordained to be a doctor. My daughter had a 4-point average. She is a people person. She is in public relations and does extremely well and got her free education doing her ordained gift. Plus she edits, which is another gift of hers, for her company, and she's writing a book.
Nice.
So she's doing her gift that was given to her. Figure it out, write it down. I'm 55 and finally doing what I was ordained to do. But I wouldn't be where I'm at had I not taken this incredible journey that I've been on. And every chapter that you enter, embrace it, enjoy it, learn from it. Because you're going to keep on repeating that same mistake if you don't learn from it. So if you don't want to repeat that mistake, learn from it, so that way you can move on to the next mistake and learn from that. One day at a time. That's all it is.
Excellent advice.
And life is not bad. It's a beautiful thing. It really is. You have a choice. I choose not to listen to the news. I'm not going to pollute myself with negativity because that's all it wants to do. I want to live. So if places want to blow each other up, there's a better place we're going to. I think it's crappy what's going on right now. I feel bad for the country. We should be there, all because they didn't sign or give their little donation to the big club that everybody else belongs to. Nobody wants to help them. That's bull crap. We should be helping them, but whatever. I won't get on the political thing. We got to look out for each other.
So
Don't poison your head with negativity. No. Poison it with laughing, joking, being funny, and be thoughtful of other people's feelings. That's it.
Definitely on a way to achieving your goals. You have to have a positive attitude.
Absolutely.
And you definitely have one of the most positive attitudes out there, which is why you've achieved so much and why you've become such a role model for so many of the younger ladies that are coming up in the business, and why it is you deserve the Lifetime Achievement Award more than any female out there right now that I know. And I am so happy that you've graced us with your presence and let us in on your story about your career and your achievements and some of your personal information. It was all just like captivating. I know I've waited a very long time to hear your story, and I'm just so happy that you brought it here to myself and the Ironman Conference, Tommy Cairo, here on Wrestling Rewind.
Who's a bigger fan of Heidi Lee than me? Come on.
Me.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah,
if we could, we would love to have you back on again for, we have a wrestling roundtable and all that jazz. So
absolutely, just let me know. Weekends work for me.
Great.
Yeah. But you just expressed that it took you to this age. I'm 64, and you want to know when I found out what I should be doing? Right here, right now.
Wow.
And what I said when we started this, we're going to be a blessing and not a curse.
Right.
Finally, be a blessing to pro wrestling. We're not here for any other reason but to help people tell their story, right or wrong, make the history right. And since they rewrote it, we're going to tell you what it really is, especially if we were there. And that's, at this point in my life, to have you on, I was so excited. I kept checking the date, and this is the fastest 2 hours I've ever spent. I've been sitting on the edge here.
Oh my God, I didn't even realize it was that long. I'm sorry.
It's been great. It's been great.
It's great because now we can put this in 2 to 3 parts. So 240 is 120. We could almost do it in 2.
We'll figure it out either way. And I could just keep going on and on with this and listening to even more and more. But all good things must come to an end.
Absolutely.
So I thank you again so much for joining us here on Wrestling Rewind. This was one of the most exciting nights of my life, probably. And
my soul is lifted. My spirit
learning
is lifted.
All about your history, and as you can see, Tommy has enjoyed it as well. And I know that everyone watching Wrestling Rewind will enjoy hearing the story and the history of WWE, wrestling legend, all around wrestling legend, Heidi Lee Morgan. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. So listen, I do have one request. Is there any way to get a picture of us like this so I can post it on Facebook and Instagram about this?
Yes, I will.
If I touch my phone, I'm afraid I'm gonna like mess up the screen right now. But I think this would be a beautiful picture to post and promote.
Yes. Absolutely.
Okay, I will definitely take one a shot after, and I'll send it right to you. And then, you know, we'll be broadcasting this in the future. Can't wait. I'm sure that everyone will love it. And until next time, like I said, we'd love to have you back on in the future. And until then, any closing words for your fans?
Just stay real, enjoy the journey, have no regrets, and pass it forward.
Fantastic.
One woman at a time or one person at a time. That's it.
That's right.
Yep.
Ladies and gentlemen, for myself, the Virgin Princess Angel, and my co-host, the Iron Man Tommy Cairo, and the legend Heidi Lee Morgan, thank you so much for joining us this evening on Wrestling Rewind, and join us back next Sunday at 7 p.m. on Monte and the Pharaoh's YouTube. And until then, have a great night and a great life. Bye-bye, guys.